around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 844-94-BIBLE. That's 844-94-BIBLE. 844-94-BIBLE.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
She posted about us just now.
Celebrities can't get enough of Be Honest Bespoke skincare line.
She has 147 million followers. How do we monetize?
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype.
We should repost this. Do we need a hashtag?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
At Simply Safe Home Security, we know in an emergency, the clock is ticking. So we designed an advanced security system powered by live 24/7 professional monitoring agents who use Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe to capture video evidence and verify a threat. Then alert police so you get faster police response. Right now, get 40% off any new system. Visit simplysafe.com/holiday to save big today. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Columbo and Katie.
Vice President Harris was recently in Texas but didn't go down to the border. I thought she was the border czar. We'll talk to White House correspondent Christian Daytalk about that and more Tuesday at 2:25.
Weekdays at 2 on NewstalkSTL.
Crime, corrupt public officials in City Hall, residents moving out of St. Louis City at a rapid pace, all due to the one-party rule that's damaging the city of St. Louis. Navy veteran Republican Robert Crump is running for State Representative District 82 to make a difference. Crump will use no-nonsense, just common sense, conservative solutions to solve our city's problems. On Election Day, make your vote count. Vote for Navy veteran Robert Crump for State Representative.
Paid for by Citizens for Crump 2022, Mary Teresa McLean, Treasurer.
Since 2007, the state of Missouri and local governments have handed out almost $5 billion in tax subsidies or abatements to private developers. That money could have gone to basic services like schools and public safety. And studies show these subsidies don't produce the promised jobs and growth. If developers want to build a sports stadium or shopping mall, why should they be given our tax dollars to do it? It's time to reform economic development subsidies. The Show Me message has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hello, St. Louis. Do you suffer from dry cough, static electricity, shocking the pet's nose when you go to pet them? Then you're in need of an April Air whole home humidifier. Jones Air and Water will install an April Air 600 model in the month of October for $650. For all News Talk listeners, find us on the web at joneswater.com or call us at 636-899-1040. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040.
If you believe Brandon and the supply chain issues are still in crisis, or even if you don't, hurry into Southern Armory, your Second Amendment headquarters, for the best selection of firearms, suppressors, holsters, ammunition, pepper spray, and knives. Browse through our constantly changing inventory, order something special, or have us repair or modify that firearm that you've been putting off. Try our firearms training simulator. See the demo video on our website. Come into Southern Armory, 9901 Watson Road, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, at southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Hey, it's First Alert Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton from Channel 4, and we are proud to be the official weather source for News Talk STL. Just like you've grown to expect from us at Channel 4, you can expect the same accurate, detailed, and timely weather coverage from News Talk STL. The First Alert weather team will keep you ahead of the big weather changes. And the one thing you can count on in St. Louis, the weather is constantly changing. So Channel 4 and News Talk STL are committed to keeping you up to date and safe.
What's wrong with our food is that it's not food.
And effects of this inconceivable problem. No one in Washington seems interested at all.
If men can't reproduce, then the world's over.
In all new Tucker Carlson Originals, The End of Men. Streaming now on Fox Nation.
Now, a look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, October 11th. This is the Fox News Rundown. President speaks with G7 leaders today to discuss a continued commitment to Ukraine.
The meeting will also likely address recent Russian missile strikes on Kyiv and perhaps perceived Russian threats to use its nuclear capabilities in some form against Ukrainians. Monday's attacks hit several civilian buildings, even as Russia claims it targeted energy and military facilities. It resulted in multiple deaths and injuries. Many are saying the strikes are retaliation for the destruction of a bridge linking Russia and the Crimean Peninsula. Russian President Vladimir Putin called that a terrorist act. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
The Supreme Court ready for another week in the young term as a case involving pigs could have impacts around the country.
The Supreme Court set to hear arguments Tuesday on a challenge from the pork industry to a California animal welfare law. The Golden State's 2018 ballot initiative bans the sale of pork, veal, and eggs from animals held in places that don't meet minimum space requirements. Lawyers for the industry say the law violates the Commerce Clause because it has dramatic economic impacts outside the state, as allegedly almost no farms meet the conditions, with California raising almost no hogs while consuming roughly 12% of the nation's pork. In Washington, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Closing arguments scheduled today in the sentencing trial of confessed Parkland school shooter Nicholas Cruz. The jury deciding whether the death penalty or life in prison without parole is what he'll get for the killings of 17 people. I'm Sue Guzman on the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and NewstalkSTL.com. Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
My point about the governor there, it is absolutely about power. I read this, I almost fell out of my chair.
News Talk STL.
This thing is just absolutely dripping with iron.
News, analysis, opinion.
Hi, this is David with Household Easy, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and you want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-293-3000. I pay cash and close in as little as 3 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and any location in St. Louis. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that is trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, because I love buying junk houses. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and you want to sell it fast, call me at 314-293-3000. That's 314-293-3000. 314-293-3000.
Steph's Pizza, legendary St. Louis-style pizza and pasta. Just the name makes your mouth water. Also, for your next get-together, pick up a Steph's Party Platter. And if it's Monday, you get a large pizza for the price of a small. Steph's Pizza in St. Charles County and Chesterfield Valley. Steph's Pizza is always convenient for pickup or delivery. Check them out at stephspizza.com. Tonight's a good night for legendary Steph's Pizza.
If you suffer from COPD symptoms like shortness of breath and fatigue, where do you turn? There are medications and oxygen, but do you know about pulmonary rehab? 3 out of 5 COPD patients have never heard of it. Pulmonary rehab is an exercise, education, and support program that gives you tools to manage your condition, and Medicare typically pays for it. So whether it's grocery shopping on your own or just walking across the room, pulmonary rehab can help you. Visit livebetter.org to find out about your options for pulmonary rehab today.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
Did you see that article from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch? Now, if you didn't, I don't blame you because it's very, very predictable. And basically it was, oh my goodness.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, many timeshare owners are very upset because their yearly dues have nearly doubled. Well, Lone Star will guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. With their A-plus rating at the Better Business Bureau, clients know that Lone Star Transfer is a company you can trust. For a free consultation, please go to LoneStarTransfer.com or call 855-551-7066. On this Tuesday, with virtually no Democratic congressional candidates asking President Biden to campaign for them, a stark message has been sent. Mr. Biden's incompetence may be contagious, and the Democratic candidates do not want an association that is obvious. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is racing around the country in support of Republican candidates. At this point in American history, it is becoming too difficult for working Americans to prosper. Disposable income is dropping due to inflation, and while there are many jobs, building savings is difficult because of high housing and living costs in many places. With interest rates climbing, housing will soon be squeezed as new construction slows down. Therefore, housing prices will continue to climb. President Biden, I believe, does not understand economics, nor is he particularly interested. White House standard issue is the economy is strong. Well, not on Main Street, and that should spell doom for Democrats on November 8th. However, the vote is not a lock, as there is a lot of emotion swirling around in America, and the corporate media is firmly on the side of the Democrats. In fact, they are allied with that political party. First time in history that has ever happened. Back after this. No question, there is a concerted effort to intimidate and silence conservative thinkers and replace our God-given individual liberty with big government controls. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in America. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits and all kinds of great content. Please stand with AMAC at amac.us. That's amac.us. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the NewstalkSTL Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. Showers on the way for Tuesday morning into the early afternoon. Even could still see an isolated shower or two in the evening, but bulk of the rain's going to be morning to early afternoon. Haven't seen measurable rain in St. Louis in 17 days, so some needed rain. Low of 60, a high of 70, not as warm because of the clouds and the rain. Wednesday, another round of an isolated shower or thunderstorm, even a strong storm, not out of the question. Mainly morning to early afternoon, a high of 71 for Wednesday. That's the latest first alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Did you see that article from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch? Now, if you didn't, I don't blame you because it's very, very predictable. And basically it was, oh my goodness, insert scary music here. The Missouri State Senate is about to get more conservative. Yeah. Okay, so they were citing the probable elections. I say probable. Hey, we still got to win the races of Nick Schroer and Mary Elizabeth Coleman to the state Senate, and that to the Post-Dispatch is very, very scary, apparently. Well, let's find out how frightened we should be. At 8:05, we're going to talk to State Representative, maybe soon to be State Senator, Mary Elizabeth Coleman, and just find out how scary she can be. Yeah, we're going to do that. Hey, good morning. I'm Mike Ferguson. We had a really good conversation with Joe Patterson from the St. Louis County Police Officers Association on Monday's program. They jumped headfirst into the race for county executive, endorsing the challenger to really who you could argue is their boss. So that's a real gutsy move that they did. We wanted to know, why did they decide to take that kind of risk and make that endorsement and make it so unapologetically? Here's what Joe had to say. When you all made the endorsement in this case, Mark Mantovani for county executive, that was pretty bold considering you're going against an incumbent. So there's that whole political side of this. But you weren't pulling punches as to why you were making this endorsement. So go into a little bit depth on this. You've been keeping receipts going back to Prop P.
Yeah, Mike, that's right. When Prop P first passed, I mean, it was a little controversial in the sense that nobody really wants a tax increase, and a lot of my members don't want a tax increase. Most of us are St. Louis Countyans. We spend our money in the county, and like I said, nobody likes paying taxes, but we realized that investing in public safety was investing in the region. St. Louis County is the economic engine of the state, and I talk to business owners on a weekly basis that tell me they can't recruit qualified talent from outside the region because of the stigma that surrounds St. Louis region when it comes to a crime issue.
Good morning, Joe. Gabe Pfeiffer here. One of the things that concerned me when Prop P came up for a vote, and the reason I voted against it, was because I did not trust the government to spend it actually on public safety, and that seems to be one of the primary drivers for the Police Association's endorsement of Mantovani. Could you explain for our listeners exactly how that happened, or what you're seeing in terms of the funding coming out of Prop P?
Sure. So again, this was controversial. The way that it was written, there's no 100% guarantee that every single cent. There can be supplantation of the funds through kind of some tricky maneuvers as saying, for example, one of the early ones that Page did was with the nurses in the jail. They're part of the public safety program, our system. So we're going to go ahead and move their pay over to the money that comes from Prop P. And it's like, well, wait a second, they're health department employees. And I realize they work in the jail, but they're certainly not first responders. And that wasn't the intent of the voters that did pass Proposition P. So that's just one small example. There's been several others since then. And we pledged to be sort of the watchdogs to the public. And we've been keeping tabs, and we're going to sound the alarm every single time. And if it's $1 of Prop P money that goes to something that's not directly involved with public safety, people are going to hear about it from us.
Good morning, Joe. This is Ken Williams. You obviously feel that Mantovani is going to deliver for the St. Louis County Police Department. What is the one thing, the main thing that the St. Louis County Police Department needs from St. Louis County government?
Well, I'll tell you the one thing we need, that the entire region needs, is a crime plan. I think, especially for our friends that are on the left side of the aisle, talking about crime is inconvenient for them. But the simple fact of the matter is that crime is the number one issue in the St. Louis region. We've got a tremendous amount of issues to work through. But if our people aren't safe and they don't feel safe, we can't start tackling some of those other things that are further down the line. So the fact that the Page administration just doesn't even talk about crime, they don't say that it's good, they don't say that it's bad, they just don't mention it. And that right in and of itself is an issue. And Mark Mantovani comes in and says, look, this is going to be priority number 1A for me. I want to stabilize the region when it comes to crime control. I want to be a leader. What do you guys need? And that alone is 100 times more we've gotten from the Page administration.
We're visiting with Joe Patterson from the St. Louis County Police Officers Association. Joe, a lot of people think of the crime issue as one that, boy, that's in the city. I mean, sure, there's some people who live close enough to the city that are affected by it, but St. Louis County's fine. I mean, it's just a city thing. Well, I think Steve Ellman up in St. Charles County made a good point when he says, no, this is a regional issue. So whatever that plan is going to be, if Mark Mantovani is elected, who's at the table making the plan or developing the plan at it? And what do you want to see that plan do and be and address?
Yeah, I mean, so in St. Louis County, let's get our house in order. Let's get the county police department. Let's bring other stakeholders. There are community members. There's members of the clergy. There could possibly be members of the health department involved at the table. I mean, it has to be a multifaceted approach. Once we sort of come up with a plan that's going to kind of cut the grass in our own backyard, then we need to start worrying about the neighborhood, right? Take care of your house, then take care of your block. And I think Jefferson County and St. Charles County, all of our bordering counties, certainly need to be at that table because, quite frankly, criminals don't respect borders. They're not going to go, oh man, that carjacking I'm going to do is about 2 blocks in the county. I need to stay in the city because it's the city that's got the crime problem, not the county.
Of course, if I were a carjacker, I'd probably want to stay in the city because there's less chance you're going to get prosecuted.
Well, yeah.
For that. I don't know. Okay, we're with Joe Patterson once again from the County Police Officers Association. I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation here, Joe, that your officers work for the county. I mean, St. Louis County Police Department. So it's kind of gutsy to endorse against the guy who's already in office. I'm reading into that to say that your membership is pretty passionate about who you want leading the county, because ultimately that's the executive, that's the administrator who's directing a lot of this policy.
No, absolutely. And that's the key, is that you mentioned earlier on the lead in here, is that this is the most important election for St. Louis Countyans. Eric Schmidt's a dear friend of the Police Association. We've endorsed him. We're supporting him. He's been at the table with us the whole time. We're going to send him to Washington, D.C. He's not going to shut our businesses down. He's not going to not give us a crime plan in Washington, D.C. Your day-to-day life is going to be most impacted by who is the county executive for the next 4 years. So we're paying close attention. I think this is, we're putting a lot of skin in the game. We're going to certainly go on record that we're going to demand that our leaders actually be leaders and take a position on crime. And first off, address it and admit that it's an issue. We can't solve a problem until we actually admit there is a problem. So, yeah, Mark has been with us the entire time, actually sits down and meets. And the key is like, hey, guys, what do you need? I don't know what the plan's going to be. I'm going to talk to everybody, and I'm going to actually lead. And that's what's refreshing.
And are you looking at any of the other races to either get involved in or at least make endorsements, or is the focus on the county executive's race primarily?
I mean, that's the focus primarily, but we've also got Dennis Hancock and Mark Harder in the St. Louis County Council. Mark's been a tremendous asset to the Police Association. I'm proud to call him a friend personally. And then Dennis Hancock's former mayor of Fenton, running to replace Tim Fitch on the County Council, and looking forward to getting Dennis in there as well.
Hey, Joe, on behalf of NewstalkSTL, I just want to say that we fully support the St. Louis County Police Department and all of our police.
No, well, thank you very much. And it's refreshing. And privately, I have these conversations all the time. And I know we've got more support than what you see maybe on social media and some other outlets. But crime is a regional issue. It starts here in our own backyard. So, let's elect a leader and put them in Clayton, somebody that can actually come up with a plan and address the problem and admit there's a problem. So we're looking forward to getting Mark in there if we can. And it's not going to be an easy task, but with a lot of good support, I think we can get it done.
Hey, real quick, Joe, a lot of people tend to think of this in terms of statistics and numbers. What is it that people need to understand about, we talk about the crime problem. A lot of time we're talking politics, but we're talking about real life in our communities, even those of us who live in areas that we say, well, that could never happen here. What are you seeing on the ground, and what are the trends?
Well, I guess the first thing for awareness is I always tell people, everyone's sick of hearing about this on the news, the crime issue. And also the point is with that, very little of the crime that happens is actually reported on the news. There's just so much of it, right? Some of them aren't as sexy as other stories. So that doesn't mean somebody wasn't bleeding. And then with that being said, violent crime is the number one issue. The small stuff we can deal with. That's going to be anywhere. But, there are people in the further stretches of West County that are being carjacked. The other one that's super disturbing is these car break-ins where property owners are confronting people and having guns pulled on them. I mean, car break-ins were normally a teenager thing, and now it's an armed, violent felon thing. So just the trend toward violence is what's most concerning.
All right, Joe Patterson, St. Louis County Police Officers Association, website, social media, where do you want people to get in touch?
Yeah, if you want to ever reach out or learn more about our association, you can go to www.slcpa.org.
All right, Joe, appreciate you being on the show.
Great, thanks, guys.
We've got that news roundup coming your way in just about 4 minutes. Also at 7:35, speaking of that county executive race, Jane Duker is going to be with us and give us her take from somebody a little bit left of center. A lot of moving parts in this particular race, but the news roundup starts us off right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Transforms your taste and clouds your decision. She'll sympathize and clear a path through the maze in a pathetic display. She plays a part of mother missionary. And when she's in, she'll take control, caving those things that used to flow. Your buoyant perceptions, afflictions, deceptions. Don't love her, don't need her, just turn and walk away. The dreamers have been there 1,000 times before. Don't love her, don't need her, she'll pick apart your brain and lead you to a dismal point of no return.
All right, here's what's happening in the news world. Actually, there's a lot of stuff going on. One of those kind of just odd days, including a tour that Cori Bush brought to downtown St. Louis. We'll talk about that. But some other headlines. The vice president makes a trip to Texas over the last couple of days. No, don't worry. She didn't actually go to the border. Don't be silly. She was there to talk about abortion, of course. The border situation is still out of control, though, in case nobody noticed. We're going to talk about that more at 7:05. St. Charles Police. I'm going to draw some hate for this one. I know it's going to happen. St. Charles Police say they got a report of someone putting that kind of gummy into a kid's bag at a Halloween-themed event recently. I'm going to pass along the warning that they said, but you know what? 6:05. Let's just talk about it at 6:05.
How do you get them mixed up? How do you get? They're not coming from the same candy factory.
I am just going to say I have my doubts. Yeah. I've just been around the news business long enough that I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I'll tell you why I have my doubts on this. But still, don't put the marijuana gummies in kids' bags. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Seriously, do not put your edibles in the kids' Halloween bags. These things are expensive from what I hear. Okay, so also we'll talk about this. I'm sorry, let's talk about that one at 6:20. At 6:05, who am I to dispute the fact checkers? I mean, they're fact checkers. That's what they're here for. So who am I to question them?
Well, just someone that it will affect dearly.
Yeah, well, there's that. The whole spin on the PayPal fiasco would be funny, except it is a big reminder of just how bad our media is in general. And I spotted this on one of the local news websites, their fact-checking thing. It was like, no, this isn't actually true. Except when you actually read what they wrote, they admit that, yeah, it kind of is true, but we're going to label it not true. Yeah, this is really something else. All right, by the way, it is 5:51. I'm Mike Ferguson. A few news stories affecting the area. This is interesting. The Missouri NAACP, we're talking about the state organization, announces that it opposes Amendment 3. Okay, now that's in and of itself isn't that big of a story, except some local NAACP chapters, including St. Louis, they're actually supporting the measure. So you actually have conflicting messaging coming out of the NAACP in the state of Missouri. Still a lot of coverage and discussion we're going to have on the Amendment 3 campaign as it develops over the next literally 4 weeks here. But that's an interesting one because there's a lot of question as to whether this is good or bad for areas that are predominantly black, which would be obviously the urban areas. And that's before you get into the entire question about whether it should be a constitutional amendment versus law and all that kind of stuff. But just interesting disagreement within one organization. All right, here's an update. This is kind of interesting. Brooke Singman from Fox News has a story regarding some of the FBI agents who were consulting on, sort of the misinformation and social media and stuff. Well, turns out they're small donations, but still their donations politically make you go, as Arsenio Hall used to say.
No.
Got me up? Yep. There we go.
Campaign records show the 2 FBI officials who briefed Facebook ahead of its decision to censor stories about Hunter Biden's laptop donated to Democrats in the 2020 campaign cycle. Now, according to a new court filing, the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force chief and the head of the Bureau's San Francisco Cyber Division were, quote, involved in the communications between the FBI and Meta that led to Facebook's suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story. Now, Federal Election Commission records show that they donated a total of $160 to Democrats in 2020. The findings reviving longstanding concerns about political bias in the FBI's probe of Hunter Biden and how it may have affected the 2020 election.
Okay, so we look at what it is and what it's not. A $160 donation isn't exactly a life-changing or politically changing donation, but it's a really bad look, and it shows where their political loyalties lie. Yeah. Listen, if you're in the FBI and you're consulting politicians on public policy and how things that are going to affect campaigns and things are going to affect elections, you shouldn't be donating to anybody.
No.
Vote however you want. That's your business. You got the right to vote however you want, but you don't make donations. You don't tip your hand and you don't put that out there. I don't know if they were thinking that, well, nobody's going to notice, but eventually somebody is going to notice. So that happened. There it is. Interesting. Lambert Airport's website. I don't think a lot of people notice this, but the website actually went down for a little bit. It was one of over a dozen airport websites that went down. Apparently, a pro-Russia cyber group decided that they were going to go after U.S. airport websites with doing a denial of service attack. So they didn't actually hack it. There's this thing where they flood it with all kinds of data and traffic and overwhelm websites so that people can't bring it up because there's just so much going back and forth. And this is kind of a common tactic that you go after somebody. It did not affect flight information and didn't affect anything like that. But the websites went back up. Jackson and Hartsville Jackson in Atlanta and some others were attacked as well. Nothing was actually affected. Nobody's lives were discernibly changed with this, but it's back up. It's been reported on this. It was just kind of an annoyance if you were looking for some information on the Lambert Airport website for a little bit. Didn't really change anything.
But if they have access to it, that kind of raises my concern as to what other access could they possibly have within the system.
Well, but like I said, they didn't hack it. It's like they went on and they've got these programs that can just overwhelm. You're clicking on their stuff. It's
so they didn't get in the back door.
No, they didn't get in the back door. That's the denial of service thing because websites are built to handle so much traffic and information going in and out. And so they create these programs that just overwhelm them. So it's like 1 million people trying to look at the website or get information from it or send in, off their pages that you send in
Like
information.
little kids just saying, nah,
Yeah,
nah, nah, nah.
pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. And so they just went after several of these airports on there as well. Okay, so with changes, now we've talked about the student loan relief situation here. Well, anytime that there's a massive government program and a lot of confusion, there's going to be an opportunity for somebody to do a scam on that. And that is pretty much what's happening. So regardless of whether or not you think you're going to try to have your kids or your part of their student loans forgiven, be careful who you're giving information to.
The Department of Education is expected to launch the online application for student debt relief within this next week, but government officials are also warning that that could cause an increase in scams, things like fake links, emails, calls, texts, all just trying to get your information or your money. Now, I spoke with the local Better Business Bureau, and Garrett Smitherman says you're probably going to see an increase in some of these scam calls and emails.
Slowing down, making sure you're on the right site.
Now, Smitherman says the first step is to know the details of your student loans and if you even qualify for the program. And officials with the Department of Education say you don't need to upload any documentation to this application. So if someone is asking you for photos, it's another sign of a scam.
All right, that's Lauren Jackson from Fox affiliate WBRC in Alabama. The deadline for the application, assuming this isn't thrown out or paused by a court, is going to be at the end of the year. But there has been another lawsuit filed against the Biden student loan forgiveness program, and that was by the Job Creators Network. And so I suspect that you might hear something about that. I don't want to put words in his mouth from Tim Jones, because he is actually involved with the Jobs Creators Network as well. And also I have literally some breaking news, and I hate to report this, but I just dropped my favorite coffee mug and it just broke all over.
I saw that. Yeah.
That was very sad. It was the one that had the picture of like the old cassette deck with all those 80s hair metal bands albums on it.
Yeah.
And I walked in and I had it sitting on my folder and it slid off and it broke.
Yeah.
So there's my bad pun breaking news. I'm very sad now.
I would be too.
In the next information segment, I'm going to be looking up that coffee mug and I have to buy another one now because I really like that coffee mug.
I know.
Very sad for me. All right, just ahead here, the whole PayPal fiasco. Don't worry, the fact checkers are on it.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. 12,300 and counting. That's how many illegal aliens Texas Governor Greg Abbott says have been bused to Democrat-run sanctuary cities up north, cities that Abbott says can support the migrants. It's called Operation Lone Star. Abbott says it's helping small Texas border towns that are being overwhelmed. And several more busloads of migrants arrived just this morning in New York City. Should Joe Biden run for re-election in 2024? Ohio Congressman Tim Ryan says no, and he's a Democrat. Ryan talked about it during last night's televised debate with Republican J.D. Vance, the two men vying for Ohio's open U.S. Senate seat. Quoting Ryan, "I've been very clear. I'd like to see a generational change." Mr. Biden losing support even among members of his own party. Billions of tax dollars have been spent on helping the homeless over the years, but despite that huge outlay, most Americans think the problem has only gotten worse.
The latest Rasmussen Report's national telephone and online survey finds that 92% of American adults believe homelessness is a serious problem in America, including 65% who say the problem is very serious. Only 6% don't think the homeless problem is serious. Perception of the problem has increased since February of 2021, when 55% said the homeless problem was very serious. The survey of 1,000 likely U.S. voters was conducted between September 26th and 27th. The margin of sampling error was plus or minus 3% with a 95% level of confidence. Bernie Bennett reporting.
Ukraine has been having to endure more Russian missile attacks overnight, this time the southern city of Zaporizhia, ground zero for the attacks. The death toll from yesterday's Russian strikes all across Ukraine has risen to 19. Watching Wall Street, stock futures in the red this morning. The Dow futures down 207 points. NASDAQ futures 87 points lower. More on these stories, townhall.com.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Watch out for crews picking up some overnight road work. They had the ramp from 55 southbound to 61 in Jefferson County closed. The ramp's open now. They're just picking up the remainder of the work zone. And we had an earlier incident at the Rock Road in Normandy. They should have all the lanes open there, though. This report is sponsored by Lowe's, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us. MVP's Pro Rewards members visit Lowe's now and earn bonus points on products and brands like DeWalt. Then redeem for Lowe's e-gift cards and more. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees. After applicable discounts, if any. Subject to program terms. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP bonus points for details. Now through 10/28.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Scattered showers across the area this morning, making for some wet roads in this morning commute. The temperatures in the 60s to near 70 degrees, and a high today of only 72 under cloudy skies. A few spot showers later in the afternoon, but more rain on the way late tonight and early tomorrow into the afternoon. A first alert weather day because of a low risk of severe storms on Wednesday. The high temperature near 70, then turning cooler on Thursday and Friday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by All Solutions Pest Control, 636-486-7888, or visit them at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. That's 800-979-3060.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Tuesday, and at 4:05, we'll have author and political pundit Dick Morris, and at 4:25, David Stokes from the Show Me Institute.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I love Jesus. He was my superhero.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Twitter is like being able to read every toilet wall in the world.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin
far be it from me to assume that I am more learned than the fact checkers, but I'm going to fact check the fact checkers here in a minute. And I actually found this on a local news website as well. To me, it's technically they got down to something that was correct, but the way it was presented was really dishonest, because the honest answer is most people, I would say, probably look at headlines or a Twitter post without clicking on a link and go, okay, now I know what I need to know. So we'll do that here in just a moment or so, about 30 seconds. At 6:20, I know I'm going to make people mad about this. And I'm like, do I do this? I'm like, yeah. Okay, so St. Charles Police posted on their social media, and then it's ended up in the news and all the websites and radio stations and TV stations and everything. St. Charles Police say that a child was given some edible gummies in a Halloween-themed, trunk or treat kind of thing. Okay, first of all, if you've got the edible gummies, and I mean, you know what I'm talking about when I say edible gummies, I mean, candy is supposed to be edible, but you know what I mean, the marijuana gummies. Okay, so if you've got that, don't give it to kids. There's my PSA.
Yeah.
Okay, I did my due diligence. I said that.
Don't give drugs to kids.
Don't give drugs to kids.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical of the story. Everybody's running with it, reporting. I'm just a little skeptical, and I'll tell you why at 6:20, and I know this is going to tick somebody off. So
yeah.
Here we go.
It kind of reminds me of that stuff. Back in the 80s, right?
Yeah, remember the razor blades?
Yeah. I mean, I remember seeing actual razor blades in the candy.
You actually saw that?
Yeah, I saw.
The first person
locally.
I've ever met that actually saw that.
Yeah, same.
I saw pictures. I heard stories, but I never actually, until now, had anybody say I actually saw one.
It wasn't a whole razor blade; it was a piece of one. It was like a third of one, and then I also saw a needle in one.
You're the first person in person I've ever met who's actually seen that.
Same, yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that, because I think there's some fear mongering that's happening right now, and you want to be careful. And Cori Bush brings her reproductive freedom tour to downtown St. Louis because, among other things, this is about human beings. That's literally her argument. I'm not kidding about that. All right.
Oh, no.
Okay, so I'm looking through the different websites, and here's what I do is I go through the national websites, and we have news services, and I look at all the local TV stations and the newspapers and all that kind of stuff. And KSTK has this fact checker series, right? And it says, no, PayPal won't fine people for spreading misinformation. That's their fact check. It's got a big red X on it.
Really?
Yeah.
So their interpretation of that document was that's wrong. That's a wrong conclusion based on that information.
Not really. Here's what because I'm thinking, well, this is going to be fascinating.
Sure.
Since PayPal has acknowledged what they did.
Yeah, they already said sorry.
They said, we didn't mean to put that out there. Sorry for the confusion. We're not actually going to do the thing that we said we were going to do. Well, if you read the fact check article on KSTK's website, it acknowledges all of that they actually put out the update and the announcement that they were going to fine people for spreading him. They even bold printed the part of the updated of the announcement in the terms of service that they got called out for. But their argument is that because they said we're sorry and we retracted it and we apologize for the confusion, we never meant for anybody to see that, that the fact check says no, they're not going to find you.
So a retraction,
right,
makes it false.
The connotation is those people who are saying PayPal's going to fine you for misinformation just not telling the truth. Well, we are telling you the truth. That is what they attempted to do.
Yeah, I mean, okay, how about this? All these disinformation specialists and the fact checkers and all that, I'd like to know who they are and what their credentials are. And Verify, you mentioned KSDK. They use Verify. Verify is actually a left-leaning company.
Yeah.
If you look them up and go into the actual website, Verify is not exactly what you would call verifying information.
I do something a little different than some people in our business around the area and country. I read the full articles, usually twice. And I'm looking through this article and I'm reading it and I'm thinking, this is really pathetic. I mean, this is really pathetic. because they are acknowledging everything that we were saying, critique. And again, I don't think anybody in the KSDK newsroom was actually typing this. I don't think this is
right.
They're sourcing this out to, what was the name of the company you said?
Verify.
Yeah. And so they're posting this, I think, with the realization that you see the big red X and the headline that says, no, PayPal won't fine people for spreading misinformation. And part of this is collectively our fault because we don't read past the headlines so many times.
Mm-hmm.
And so some argument's going to happen, and somebody's going to say, no, fact checkers already said that's not true. They're not doing that. Don't be stupid.
Fact checkers.
Stop listening to that right-wing radio. But if you read the article, they acknowledge completely everything that happened that we took. Because when I was pointing this out to you yesterday, I was looking at what PayPal had posted. And they did the same thing, and they just said, because they retracted it, that it's false.
That's wild to me. Yeah, you know what? Any organization, any person basically who calls themselves a fact checker right now, I basically just regard you as the propaganda co-signers in chief. That's all you are. You're there to make sure that the right narrative is drawn from whatever the headline is, and that the right people, gigantic air quotes, are pissed off about what you say.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah. So we got to fact check the fact checkers, and then somebody's going to respond with fact checking the fact checkers who've checked the fact checkers.
It's turtles all the way
and
down.
And a woodchuck.
How about just putting out the facts? I saw an interesting meme. It was, we never needed fact checkers until the truth started coming out.
That's a great meme. Oh
so
my gosh.
Here's the bigger picture to this, is that to me, this is a reminder that says what we have is a medium more interested in creating a narrative or pushing back against a narrative than they are about simply providing information.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what we've got. That's what that showed me. And, I don't really know anybody at KSDK. I mean, I'm sure they're nice people in the newsroom. I'm sure there's plenty of folks I get along with just fine. I mean, I know a few people at different stations around town, but that just happens to not be one of them. And they just, I'm sure, have a contract, and they post the link and they put it out there, and it is what it is. But I wonder if anybody in there said, hey guys, this isn't right, or this is really misleading. When I worked in a TV newsroom, we really fought over things called journalism ethics. We actually fought about them back in the 90s.
Because you cared about journalistic ethics?
Well, back then. I'm not a journalist anymore. Yeah. So somebody yells at me, you're biased. Yeah, yes. I know. I'm a conservatarian talk show host. I used to be a journalist. And when you read my articles, you would not know what my thoughts were on things. But I wonder if there's anybody in there going, hey, guys, this is misleading.
I would say no, not in the studio, not in the KSDK office. I don't think so. I think they're just saying, let's do what we're told to do, basically. And that Verify company is really troubling to me because they've been in with KSDK for a couple of years. And I brought them to my wife's attention because she's one of those people that sees things and goes, well, no, it's true because look, Verify, they verified it. And I said, that's a company, you know that, right? And she said, no, they verified it. I said, okay. And I went and got the information, showed her, and she goes, that's a company?
Yeah.
I go, yeah.
And literally like I just said.
And there may be, and honestly, there may be nobody in the newsroom. That may be something to some corporate level where they just put the schedule, the tweet in there. So there may be nobody at KSDK who actually has anything to do with posting that from now.
Well, and part of the worst aspects of a lot of the things that we've seen from basically left-wing dominated areas is that it isn't even necessarily a conspiracy. They're not necessarily having a gigantic meeting and saying, okay, this is now the line. It's just that they all believe the same thing.
Yes.
So then they're not skeptical of things that co-sign their own beliefs. So if it's, well, of course this person is racist. They're on the right. So we're going to publish whatever scandal or whatever libel about them in regards to them being racist because that fits my narrative.
So let me wrap up with an equivalency here. I'm about to break into Gabe's house to steal something in his house, but he catches me and I say I'm sorry and I run off. And Gabe says, Mike, what a thief. I can't believe you're a thief. And I say, no, that's not true.
I didn't actually
because
steal
I said
anything.
I'm sorry and I didn't steal anything.
I didn't actually steal anything.
So
I just tried to.
That's an incorrect statement. Oh gosh. All right. Okay, just ahead here, St. Charles Police put out a note on their Facebook saying, we got a report that somebody put basically a THC-laced marijuana edible, illegal one, in a kid's Halloween bag. Okay, don't do that. I'll put the warning out, but I'm going to be a little skeptical on this. I'll tell you why. You can yell at me in about 4 minutes on 314-912-1019.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
It's been 17 days since we've seen rain, and we do have some wet roads this morning, so slow down. Otherwise, we haven't seen much in the way of incidents or accidents, though. They have reopened the ramp from 55 southbound to US 61 in Jefferson County. It was closed for some overnight road work, but again, that's back to normal there. This report sponsored by Lowe's, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us. MVP's Pro Rewards members visit Lowe's now and earn bonus points on products and brands like DeWalt. Then redeem for Lowe's e-gift cards and more. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees. After applicable discounts, if any. Subject to program terms. Visit Lowes.com/MVP bonus points for details. Now through 10/28.
What a great meeting. I loved everything he said. I think we've found our new financial advisor.
I hated him.
What? Why?
He never even looked at me.
It's a story that's been repeated over and over in the financial industry. And it's the reason Deanna Orff at the All Financial Group is so passionate to change it. That's why on October 18th, she's hosting an exclusive women's event called Women in Wealth. It's an open forum for you to learn more about markets, investing, and planning for retirement, and a setting where you can ask questions. It's a fact that 90% of women will at some point be solely responsible for their finances. This could be a great first step. The Women in Wealth event on October 18th. It's free, but you do need to make a reservation. So call 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory services offered through All Financial Group LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuity products are offered through Stephen All, Missouri license 8039738.
Hey everybody, this is Paul Kurtman, host of the Paul Kurtman Show on News Talk STL, but I'm also the president of PR Kurtman Investments. The market is down and inflation is up, so if you have questions about the investments in your portfolio, please let me help. Just send me an email by visiting freedomportfolios.com. There's no cost. The market might be uncertain, but that doesn't mean you should be too. Contact me today, Paul Kurtman, by visiting freedomportfolios.com.
Now, the Onder Prescription with Dr. Bob Onder.
I'm Dr. Bob Onder. Is your retirement plan promoting the woke agenda? For years, folks investing for retirement and their retirement plans at work have opted for passive investing. Firms like Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street, some of the biggest in the world, have offered index mutual funds that seek to mirror the returns of the stock market rather than trying to beat the market. You would think nothing would be less political or less subject to the fads and fantasies of the day than passive investing. Think again. It's come to light that the big investment firms, again like BlackRock and Vanguard, are using your money to vote your proxy shares to further woke investment policies known as ESG, environmental and social governance, green energy, race and gender activism. Time to let your investment manager or your IRA or 401k plan know that you want your retirement dollars invested for your benefit, not that of the woke left. I'm Dr. Bob, and that's my prescription.
Find more Dr. Bob Onder at bobondermo.com. The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
The Federal Reserve hiked interest rates again.
News, analysis, opinion.
Inflation, gas prices, fuel, it's all up.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the Morning. Made in St. Louis, for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
One of the problems of being in this business for as long as I have, especially spending so much of my time in the news part before I came over to the talk side of this, is that I will say the word skeptical, but somebody's going to call me jaded. Okay. Skepticated. And so I see this post from the St. Charles Police Department on Facebook. Actually, I saw news articles on, I think, all the local TV websites, and it was, Mom finds cannabis gummy worms in 5-year-old's Halloween candy. It just stated as a fact, okay? And so I followed the link that they provided to the Facebook post to the St. Charles Police Department, and it says, and I read, if you or someone you know attended the trunk or treat today, and this would be October 8th, at JJ's Car Show, please ensure you check your child's candy. We have a single report of a parent discovering a small bag of Delta 88 edibles. I think it's actually Delta 8 is what it turns out. Delta edibles, which appear similar to gummy worms. Officers thoroughly checked the area and found no one handing out this item. We are investigating to determine how this occurred. Anyone finding anything suspicious in their child's candy, blah, 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 call the phone number. Okay. And immediately I'm going, really? And there's a picture of 2 gummy worms neatly in the package, the marketing package, with like the sticker that says, these are the edible gummy, stuff to get you high. I mean, it's like in the package. 2 of them specifically in a little like,
Nicely positioned,
in the Ziploc thing. I mean, it's apparently what you would buy at one of the stores. And immediately I'm thinking somebody accidentally pulled this thing up that's Ziplocked and put that whole thing in with the sticker, with the label on the front. And they accidentally put that in, or somebody was putting it in there on purpose to get a kid high. So they got to go through and open up the package. I mean, that's not passing the smell test with me.
Yeah, I don't buy this. I don't buy this. Just from the fact that, these things are expensive, aren't they? I don't know. I've never actually seen the pricing, but if you're buying a single package with 2 gummies in it,
right?
It's probably not 3 pennies per gummy like it would be if you bought a gigantic bag of them. You know what I mean, for Halloween.
And they look just like regular candy gummy worms.
They
look just
obviously.
but they're in the bag. That's like this foil bag with a Ziploc thing on top.
And the way I saw the bag,
Yeah.
The way they're positioned, it's like they were set in there nice and neatly.
Right.
Gummy bears and gummy worms, whatever. Mm-hmm. They're thrown in a big bag, and they're all over the place.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're very tasty.
And they're very good.
And it's like if I eat one, I have to eat 50, and I can't. That's why I can't eat them.
I mean, and just think about how you prepare for Halloween, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a gigantic bag full of little mini bags, right? And then you're just dumping those into a container, and from the container, you're giving them out to the kids. How does this probably standalone they don't buy these in gigantic bags with all these little mini bags in them?
No, and they're not.
Because you would be arrested for trafficking in
right.
It's too much.
And they're not manufactured alongside candy.
Yeah,
it's not like they're wait a minute, they were so close that we just inadvertently threw them together.
I don't get that you're mixing them up. I mean,
it's kind of weird.
It feels scaremongering.
I agree, Mike.
It feels scaremongering.
It sounds like somebody took a picture or planted something to. I don't know why somebody would want to create a fear. I'm going to leave possibility that maybe somebody grabbed one and accidentally grabbed. I mean, I guess it could happen. But I'm looking at the comments on the St. Charles County, or not St. Charles County, St. Louis City, St. Charles City Police on this particular post, and a woman posts the picture of both sides of the thing,
right?
Including like the marketing. Hey, these are gummy. Get your high things.
100 milligrams, something or other. That's like.
And I'm like, well, she goes, this was my grandson. My daughter-in-law found this in his bag. Be careful, everybody. There's drugs out there or whatever. And so I click on her profile, and she's like a out there leftist. I mean, like way out there, BLM, rainbows, and all this, vaccines and all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to like disparage character because she's a weirdo leftist.
I might.
But I'm saying is that we have a history of that line of thinking not exactly telling the truth. So I don't know what a motivation would be to try to get on the news with all this and do scaremongering, because it's like you're hearing, oh my goodness, your kid's Halloween bag is going to be filled with rainbow fentanyl.
Well, maybe she wanted to be a part of a virtue signal.
Yeah.
Like, hey, everybody, here I am to protect you.
Here's a theory.
Okay.
She said her daughter-in-law found this.
Yeah.
Maybe she found that her daughter-in-law had it in her hand.
Yeah.
And she's like, where'd you get that?
I can't believe it was in Junior's.
It was in Junior's bag. Can you believe this?
Oh, that's crazy. We got to call the police.
It's really not that big of a
No, we have to call the police.
We have to tell everyone.
And it's all over, and the media's reporting.
The daughter's like, yeah, I found it in that bag.
It's totally not mine.
Most cops are kind of they know what the score is. All right.
Sure.
They know what the deal is. And again, I'm gonna reserve a little bit of space for the possibility that some nefarious person put a clearly marked marijuana edible gummy worm into a child's bag. Okay, I guess it's technically possible that could happen. Every bit of my 28 years of experience tells me this story just doesn't add up.
Yeah.
But then you keep hearing about your kid's Halloween candy is going to have a bunch of rainbow fentanyl in it because those drug dealers are making it to look like candy because they want your kid to take a full tablet of rainbow fentanyl, which will kill them on the spot.
Yes, they don't want to waste their drugs that way.
It's too expensive.
They don't want to do that.
Listen, drug cartels are not going up down your street trying to give your kids rainbow fentanyl. Okay,
no.
When we make these fear mongering things, okay, we're actually diluting the real threat and crisis that is fentanyl in this country. Okay? So there has not been a single case that I can find, and there have been obviously Halloween events already, where somebody's trying to sneak a whole tablet of rainbow fentanyl into some kid's thing. Literally the equivalent of 10 grains of rice is enough to kill a human adult on this stuff. It's that powerful. There's no incentive for a drug dealer to try to kill off a bunch of kids. That's not bad. That's not good for business.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like what was it that people were afraid of? Basically, you get the one little hit, and then now you're addicted, and you have to go find it. It's like, oh yeah, they're just trying to make customers. That's not what fentanyl would do. Fentanyl would immediately kill you. It's not. They're not making new customers, and why would you give away so much lucrative product?
Yeah, you're gonna get the preschooler hooked on fentanyl, and before you know it, the 5-year-old is knocking off convenience stores.
That's not how that works.
Yeah, that's not how it works. So I'm saying is keep it in context and recognize that people go overboard on things. We had all these other scares in the years past, and I mean, Ken, you said you saw. That's the first time in my 50 years of life I've ever met somebody who actually said they saw it.
Same.
I heard all the stories, but I never actually talked to anybody who actually saw one.
Yeah, in fact, I remember we would have a parent, like not a meeting, but we had a bunch of parents get together, and they were like, "Hey, here it is. Be careful."
That's crazy.
How trustworthy was that person?
The neighbor?
Yeah.
Oh, very.
Okay.
They had 8 kids.
Okay.
The Lampins.
Yeah.
It still feels weird.
Yeah.
But hey, the memes though. Have you seen the memes online where basically people would have like some gigantic dangerous thing and then they kind of stuff it halfway into a candy packet? Like it's like
that's right, yeah.
Everybody be careful, and they have like a fun size Almond Joy wrapper wrapped around the end of an AK-47.
Yeah.
Like, I found a fully functional gun inside.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so
I saw. Watch out!
Check your candy.
Check your candy.
This was my kid's caramel chocolate, and I found a fully loaded Glock in it.
And me, I'm over here like, Lord, I see what you do for other people.
Yes.
Please do it for me.
I want that. That was my first thought, too. Somebody's putting Glocks in candy. I want that candy.
I meant to have a candy bar, and I have a Glock 17. I think I like it.
Now,
Glocks are expensive.
Tastes like freedom. All right, Cori Bush decides to bring her campaign reproductive freedom tour to downtown St. Louis.
Okay.
The only reason I'm talking about it is because some of the things she said are beyond parody. And if you want to see it for yourself, it's on like the local mainstream media. They covered it, and they covered it without pointing out the irony, of course. But I'll tell you what she had to say. St. Louis's local embarrassment. Cori Bush, I'll tell you about it, 6:35 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com. Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke. News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion.
From the Newstalk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasevich. On Saturday, the St. Charles Police Department made a Facebook post warning parents whose children participated in the trunk or treat at JJ's Car Show to check their kids' candy for drugs. A small bag of Delta 8 edibles was reportedly found in one child's Halloween candy. Officers thoroughly checked the area and did not find anyone passing out the edibles. The St. Louis City Board of Education has chosen an interim superintendent to lead the St. Louis Public Schools after Kelvin Adams retires at the end of this year. Nicole Williams, Adams' chief of staff, will take over on January 1st. The search for Adams' permanent replacement is ongoing. St. Louis County's Animal Control Department has destroyed roughly 20,000 pounds of paper records without proper permission after cockroaches and mice infested the documents, county public health officials said yesterday. The destruction comes as the county faces 3 lawsuits and open records requests related to its animal shelter. The new Bass Pro Shop store, currently under construction in Sunset Hills at Watson and Lindbergh, will be adding 17,500 more square feet and now take up the entire shopping center. A deal was reached for the tile store next door to terminate its lease early. The Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences was awarded to 3 U.S.-based economists yesterday, one of which teaches at WashU. Philip Dybvig is a professor of banking and finance at the Olin Business School of Washington University in St. Louis. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Things are still relatively light. Now, we did have a report of a vehicle off the roadway westbound 44 east of Antire. I don't see any lane blockage. Traffic is moving through there just fine. Autumn Trails Drive at Saline Road in Jefferson County, crews have been dispatched. That's a crash with injuries there. This report is sponsored by Chucky on USA and Sci-Fi, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Scattered showers across the area this morning, making for some wet roads in this morning commute. The temperatures in the 60s to near 70 degrees. And a high today of only 72 under cloudy skies. A few spot showers later in the afternoon, but more rain on the way late tonight and early tomorrow into the afternoon. A first alert weather day because of a low risk of severe storms on Wednesday. The high temperature near 70, then turning cooler on Thursday and Friday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Newstalk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Katie, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
I'm looking again at Channel 5's website, and they had a story on, and of course, autoplay.
Autoplay.
Channel 5, you have one of the most annoying websites ever. I just want to point that out because I'm reading their story on it right now, and it has to do with Cori Bush coming through downtown on her reproductive freedom tour. And we're going to get to in just a minute here why the left thinks this is the issue that's going to win them elections or be the firewall against everything else that's happening. But we'll get to that in a minute. By the way, it's 6:37. I'm Mike Ferguson with Gabe Pfeiffer and Ken Williams, and it's 6:50. I just want to bring this up here. Is somebody who's a victim of a scam ever too dumb to deserve sympathy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think there's a level of stupidity there where it's just like, nah, you deserve it.
Okay.
You mean like, hello? Yeah? Oh, you want my number? Oh, you want my social security number? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. You just go straight to it.
I've got a story of a woman who was scammed out of a lot of money. And I'm thinking, that's awful, but I can't tell what's awful. Is it that she was scammed out of the money or that she's so dumb? And so I kind of struggled with my, being a good Christian and all this.
Dumb is out there.
Speaking of someone who thinks she's a good Christian because she's a pastor,
Oh, no.
Cori Bush definitely lives like it. She has a reproductive freedom tour, and she's in downtown St. Louis. And I'm just going to read her quotes. This is how this woman thinks. Abortion care is health care because one thing that I said to people was, you don't go for that type of procedure at the gas station. You go to a medical clinic because that is a medical procedure. It is a procedure, and it is a procedure that saves lives. Can we define saving lives in life?
Sure.
Yeah.
Killing a baby.
Abortion always kills
Yes.
a human
Saves
life.
lives.
Kills a human life.
Okay, so Bush goes on to say, it's not a Republican or Democrat or Libertarian group. It's not that it's not the issue. I don't even know what that means. This is about human beings, and there are Republicans who have abortions. I'm sure there are Republicans who have abortions. And she goes on to say, so this is that this, wow. So this is that this affects any and all people. So any and all people should have a voice in this, including the unborn child who's getting ripped apart, not just the birthing person, as she likes to call it.
I don't know. I'm not sure if her shallow verbiage is shallower than AOC's.
Yeah, she's getting there. Yeah, maybe.
Or no, I mean Kamala.
Yeah, but her two main points here, her two money points here, are that this saves lives and this is about human beings. Hey, Cori, yes, it's about human beings.
But it's about them being killed by this procedure.
Yes.
Hello. Hi.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm science. Let me introduce myself.
I've always been interested in how they can call abortion healthcare.
Yeah. It was one of the greatest scams ever perpetuated on the American people is to dehumanize the unborn to the point where basically they bill it as removing a tumor. That's the equivalent that they've always kind of put forth to the public. It's like, no, it's just a medical procedure that removes unwanted tissue.
I remember in college, some some women that I went to college with who would be furious that three men are even talking about this right now in the air.
Oh, yeah, we have no standing.
But they were arguing it's just a parasite, literally using the word parasite. Medically speaking, this is a parasite.
So I'm a fully grown parasite?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Well, never ask these people, at what point does the parasite become human? Because they can't answer that.
No,
and they refuse to answer it. And there's a reason. Because when you make that arbitrary demarcation, you set yourself up for the inevitable failure that, oh, well, what about this situation or that situation? So they can't argue the logic of it. They can only argue the emotion. Well, this saves a woman's well-being somehow, and they skirt the issue entirely.
Or you end up like Stacey Abrams saying something like, that's a manufactured sound being a heartbeat.
Yeah.
That's just a manufactured sound.
You mean
she literally claimed that.
The muscle that circulates blood in the little baby's body, it's not actually a heart. That's just a manufactured sound.
Responding to an electrical signal from from a nervous system
that exists
from a developing brain.
Yeah.
That tells the heart to pump.
Right. That sounds human to me.
Okay, so outside of us, and listen, I understand that there are people who just simply disagree with this. I think they're dead wrong on the issue, and I mean that not as a pun, but that's what I mean. Why is it that the left thinks this is the issue that's going to give them a chance to win in the elections? I mean,
they have nothing else.
Yeah, those who are, whether you are pro-life or you're pro-abortion, you've made up your mind who you're going to vote for. You're not crossing over.
Yeah.
And survey after survey after survey says abortion is between 7 and 10 when it comes to the list of priorities for voters.
If you're talking about abortion, you're not talking about inflation or the southern border or Afghanistan or anything else.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Well, it's their wedge issue. It's the only issue they have left to get their base excited. Because what does their base actually have to be excited about right now? They're not voting for a good economy. They're not voting for public safety. They're not voting for anything tangible in anybody's lives except this one issue where they all agree and they all have the same delusion.
Yeah, and this just a strange tactic. Other than what you said, in that everything that their policies have touched has been destroyed.
Yeah.
Economy, energy, safety, illegal immigration. I mean, everything that they have touched has gone the wrong direction, and there's not even a conversation that they want to have with it. They just want to yell abortion, 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 even though the trend in the United States is that overall people are coming to a pro-life perspective. Younger people are still pro-abortion.
Mm-hmm.
The older you get, the more you're likely to be pro-life.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, the more you learn about life and the more the technology shows us life in the womb, it gets really hard to deny that's a person.
I think that's a game changer right there.
Mm-hmm.
When you see the new version of the sonogram, where you can actually see the little baby moving around in there, I think that changes a lot of young people's minds. But I think this describes it.
Everything woke turns to shit, okay?
Everything woke and everything the Democrats touch.
Yeah, a few months ago, my wife and I were having this conversation because there was a story that came out about the pro-life, pro-choice, pro-abortion thing. And of course, my wife is a philosophy professor, business philosophy professor. Well, business and political philosophy. And of course, she looks at things like, wow, people are really changing their perspective on this. And she's looking at all of these different philosophical reasons that people could be changing generationally. And she wants to see what the studies are. And I said, I think it's far more simple than that. And of course, she says, well, what do you think it is? I said, the invention of ultrasounds.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I really think it's that simple because one of the most effective things that pro-life pregnancy resource centers can do is provide an ultrasound. And it's one of the reasons that Planned Parenthood refuses to have ultrasounds in their facilities.
Yeah. Not ones that can be viewed at least by the patient. They use them to find their target.
Well, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then
that's heavy.
And then they claim that their centers provide ultrasounds. They say, well, this is one of our services that we provide. And they build it as a good thing when the entire purpose is so they can find where to stick the needle.
But by God, don't allow the pregnancy resource centers to claim that they do that.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So I really do think it's just as simple as you don't have to have a strong political ideology to look at an ultrasound and go, that's a life.
Yeah. I mean, Mike, you mentioned this off the break, and I think it bears repeating that we're not really in a war to win hearts and minds. Yeah. We're in a propaganda war.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a matter of getting actual information into people's brains so that they see the reality that they actually see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's crazy.
All right, 314-912-1019. Just ahead, should we feel sorry for all victims of scams?
Not sure.
Kind of. The next situation I'm going to tell you about may make you question that. I'll explain right around 6:50 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning, made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Just starting to pick up some volume this morning. 55 northbound, that Butler Hill 270 area crowds, especially in the right lane. And then again from Weber up through Germania, heavy pockets through the construction zone. 270 north is busy, but it's moving. Doherty Ferry up through Manchester. No issues if you're headed for the bridge complexes downtown. This report is sponsored by Chucky on USA and Sci-Fi. And I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
St. Louis's place to talk.
The American people have further lost faith in our governmental institutions.
People can decide what they want and how they want to live.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
If you are on Medicare, you need to listen to this message. Open enrollment for all Medicare participants starts October 15th. This is a very critical time of the year for you to make needed changes to your plan.
This is Mike Butts with MB Health Insurance Agency. Regardless if you are new or renewing your health insurance, the process can be confusing and very time-consuming. MB Health is local here in St. Louis, and we will handle your enrollment quickly, properly, and effectively. Find us on the web at mbhealth.com.
MB Health can also help small businesses find the perfect medical coverage for their employees. That's mbhealth.com.
Columbo and Katie.
Missouri Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft, would you be able to publicly state for the record that Tony Colombo is your favorite Italian on News Talk STL?
Tony, I love you, but you can't hold a candle to your co-host there.
All right, but am I better than Vic at least? I want to just be better than Vic Porcelli.
They want to win your mind and your heart over. That's what they want from you, Mr. Secretary.
Tony Colombo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. The Dan Bongino Show.
We haven't yet learned to read the media upside down. No bats in a Wuhan lab means there are bats in a Wuhan lab. There is no human-to-human transmission of the coronavirus. There's definitely human-to-human transmission.
Weekdays at 11.
To read these things upside down.
On News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
All right, here in just a couple of minutes here, I always want to feel sorry for crime victims. I've been a crime victim. But at some point, it's not really your fault, but it's kind of you contributed to it being your fault.
Sort
I
of
know
it.
this sounds really cruel and cold-hearted, but I'm going to tell you the situation. You tell me if you agree or disagree. We'll do that in about 2 minutes here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL. It is 6:50 right now. Got Gabe in the studio, got Ken in the studio. I'm Mike, and we've got Robin here with us as well. Hey, Robin, you're on News Talk STL.
Hi, Mike. I think you guys did a good job about talking about abortion, but I don't think you talked about the man.
Mm-hmm.
How come the man doesn't have to sign off on the abortion? Because that's his baby too.
Yeah, the left the left argues her body, her choice, and man shouldn't have any say in it whatsoever. You
Man,
remember,
shut up.
No uterus, no opinion, and so yeah, is it just? Absolutely not, but it just shows further hypocrisy on the left, just ideologically, philosophically, morally. Even if you believed abortion is a moral act, and I don't, what you just said, Robin, shows further immorality in it, in that the other person who's involved in creating this child has no say on whether it lives or dies.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent point.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
Hey, thanks, Robin.
Thank you.
Yep. I remember when the leak came out about the Dobbs ruling and Roe versus Wade and everything.
Everybody freaked out.
And people were freaking out like crazy. And there were some people who were saying, fine, man, you're going to get control our bodies. How about we make you take care of this child? And all the pro-lifers were like, well, yeah, that's what we've been saying for 50 years.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
and that's currently the direction of the law.
Right.
You know, if there's a baby that shows up and it's yours, buddy, you're on the hook.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's really hilarious too. There's a YouTuber out there who asked ladies the question: should men be able to commit a financial abortion? Essentially, to sign off that I do not want to be a father. You can't make me be a father, so I financially separate from this child. So in the same way, it's like a woman can decide whether or not she wants to be a mother. A guy can't decide whether or not he wants to be the financial provision as a dad.
Right. I would argue she doesn't get to decide after pregnancy whether or not she gets to be a mother. She's a mother.
Well, yes.
She can be
True.
a mother of a child, or she can be the mother of a child who's not alive anymore.
That's true.
But anyway, all right. I found this story in Japan Today. I found a link to Japan. I don't normally look at Japan Today for my show prep. Okay, so a woman, 65 years old in Japan. And by the way, if you're a single woman in Japan at the age of 65, you're either widowed or you are kind of an outcast in some parts of their society.
Oh yeah, they're serious.
So she meets a guy through online sources, and he says, "I want to move to Japan, and I love you, and I want to marry you." And she's very excited, but he needs a little help getting to Japan. Yeah. So she ended up sending him like 4.4 million yen, which translating into our dollars would be about $30,000.
Yikes.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Here's his story that she gave him the money for. He said, well, I'm busy. I'm at work right now. You see, I'm a cosmonaut for Russia, and I'm on the space station. And I need the money to cover the rocket costs and re-entry fees to the United States.
No.
Or not to the United States, to the world.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And she fell for that, huh?
She thought she was in a long-distance relationship with a guy from Russia.
A long distance.
Very long distance.
Oh my gosh.
But he needed money to move there from outer space because he was on the space station.
Okay. All right.
What I was not. That took me off guard. I was expecting scam, right? I was expecting, okay, he says, he's a I don't know, a spy or something, or he's working undercover, or he's just down on his luck. He's one time, but he needs this investment. I was not freaking expecting astronaut who needs rocket fees.
And you're a rocket scientist, so you should. If anybody, you should have suspected that.
So she thought that the astronauts pay their own
re-entry fee. Rocket costs.
Okay, we'll send you, but you need to deposit money enough for the rocket fuel to get you back.
Otherwise, we're taking this out of your paycheck.
Otherwise, you're not coming down.
That's a NASA scam. I was like, why isn't NASA doing it?
Yeah.
And she said she got suspicious when he asked for more money, and so she called the police.
Wow.
Here's my question. Clearly you got probably guys out there that are like, I'm going to come up with the dumbest thing possible and see if anybody actually falls for this.
Right.
and clearly this is what happened here, at some point, how much of this is her fault for being that dumb? I know somebody would say, no, she's that lonely.
Well, yeah. But
being dumb can come from a variety of reasons.
Yeah, this is too dumb.
How much of this is her fault?
50%.
I agree. I think 50-50. Him for being a jerk and a criminal and scamming her, but it's 50% her fault because she's dumb.
Absolutely. I mean, even the Nigerian prince one has better standing than this one. I mean, think about it.
No, but you know what?
It's more likely that you actually made contact with a Nigerian prince than that an astronaut needs rocket fuel fees to come back to Earth.
The Nigerian prince scenario must be working because I received a text probably a month ago.
Yeah.
Saying, look, here's the deal. And I'm telling you, you've got some money on your hands here.
Yeah.
$30,000.
And I'm thinking, really? That still works?
Well, if it didn't work,
they wouldn't do it.
They would not be casting the net out.
Right.
Somebody out there is clicking on that.
And it makes sense that this guy would ask for more. Because if she fell for that one, he was like, I found the best mark in the world.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask for more.
Got a live one here.
So what do you guys think about this when there's an elderly person? They're cognitively fine, but they're just, they got a call from Ameren saying that they need their account information. What do you think? What do you think about that?
I can see that because back in the day, the scam thing didn't exist. When you got a call from the power company, it was a call from the power company.
Right.
So it's like they operated in a very different world than we did, and they got used to that world.
And some of those scams are very sophisticated. They're using things that are realistic.
Yeah. I mean, if they identify you by name and address and all that other stuff, you're like, oh well, they have my information.
Yeah. And by the way, if they're asking, okay, who's this? I just need to confirm for my records. Okay, they're not telling the truth. Yeah. But some of those can sound very convincing.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, if I have any time, not that I have a lot of spare time anymore, but I'll just keep them on there just to mess with them. Just for fun.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I record those.
I
play them on there.
I can because it's legal for we're
one party.
Missouri is a single party state. I can record it.
What I do is I go, okay. Well, hello, okay. ¿Qué pasa?
Yeah, just switch it up on them.
I don't change. And that's all I know. But
that's all Spanish but that's all you need.
That's all I need
to get the scammer.
Oh man, yeah. I for some reason used to get a bunch of those calls, and at some point you just you can yell at them, but it becomes sport for them. But at some point you're wasting their time, and I'm like, oh, I'm wasting their time.
Yes,
let's do that.
I had a friend who used to speak Klingon.
Why does that not surprise me?
Since 2007, the state of Missouri and local governments have handed out almost $5 billion in tax subsidies or abatements to private developers. That money could have gone to basic services like schools and public safety. And studies show these subsidies don't produce the promised jobs and growth. If developers want to build a sports stadium or shopping mall, why should they be given our tax dollars to do it? It's time to reform economic development subsidies. The Show Me message has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Are you looking for the cheapest prices on car insurance? Then call the Cheap Car Insurance Hotline right now. Hey, you're guaranteed to save money on your car insurance. Most car insurances can be canceled at any time. That means if you find a better deal, you can switch right away. We're not just one company. We offer most of the major brands of car insurance. We're like a discount supermarket for car insurance. And it doesn't matter if you have a good record or a bad driving record. Our agents are experts at finding you the right car insurance for your needs. Our average customer saves hundreds of dollars a year when they call us to switch. So why don't you make this 100% free call right now and see how much you can save on your car insurance? Paid for by AIS Insurance.
800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. That's 800-721-5741.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. As Russia continues raining missiles down on innocent civilians in Ukraine, a British intelligence chief says the war not going well at all for Vladimir Putin. The head of Britain's GCHQ intel agency saying that Ukraine is turning the tide against exhausted Russian forces.
The cost of the war in Ukraine in terms of both people and equipment is staggering, Sir Jeremy Fleming is expected to say, and Russian forces are exhausted. He will tell an audience, we know and Russian commanders on the ground know that their supplies and munitions are running out. The use of prisoners and the mobilization of inexperienced men speaks of a desperate situation, he argues, claiming the Russian people are now starting to understand just how badly Vladimir Putin misjudged the situation.
That's BBC's Gordon Carrera. The group of 7 nations preparing for an emergency meeting on Ukraine. Today's meeting, a video conference, attendees to hear from Ukrainian President Zelensky. The Biden team getting failing grades on foreign policy.
2 years into the Biden administration, 60% of Americans surveyed by the Pearson Institute, the Associated Press, and the North Center for Public Affairs Research say they expect U.S. relations with adversaries, such as Russia and North Korea, to get worse. That's up from 26% 4 years ago during the Trump administration. Donna Warder, Washington.
Some 30,000 non-citizens have gotten a postcard from the Colorado Secretary of State's office encouraging them to vote. The office of Democrat Secretary of State Jenna Griswold saying it was a mistake, insisting that none of the non-citizens will be allowed to register to vote if they try. Wall Street Dow futures down 143 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Factor pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing.
But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Following
from the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Building some slow spots, 55 north, Bayless, most of the way up through Germania. Add a couple of extra minutes to your commute. 270 northbound has pockets. I-55 up to Manchester, not jammed the whole way, but it totals up to about an 11-minute delay. 64 eastbound, starting to get some heavy traffic. I-70 to 364, add 4 minutes. 70 eastbound, TR Hughes to 79 is busy, but it's moving. 61 southbound, pretty slow. A to I-70, just add a minute or two. This report is sponsored by Chucky on the USA Network and Sci-Fi. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Scattered showers across the area this morning, making for some wet roads in this morning commute. The temperatures in the 60s to near 70 degrees. Then a high today of only 72 under cloudy skies. A few spot showers later in the afternoon, but more rain on the way late tonight and early tomorrow into the afternoon. A first alert weather day because of a low risk of severe storms on Wednesday. The high temperature near 70, then turning cooler on Thursday and Friday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey folks, here's great news for active aging seniors. The Kanega Watch. The only medical alert smartwatch with built-in fall detection. Yeah, the Kanega watch is much different than the other guys. It's a stylish, discreet watch you can wear all the time. Get help through the watch in one of 3 ways. Your voice, pushing the watch's alert button, or have the fall detection connect you to a U.S.-based 24/7 monitoring center who'll speak to you through your watch and can send help to your GPS location nationwide. And get this, it can do that even if you're not responsive. This is true 24/7 peace of mind for you and those that love you. Order your Kanega watch with a full refund 30-day trial period. Call now. 800-413-7152. 800-413-7152. 800-413-7152. That's 800-413-7152.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
But I'm not going to turn my dial off for you guys. I really like this channel.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
That was a sad Kofifi dance for me today.
It was.
It was right as
you
I
didn't
was,
have your heart in it for some
No,
reason.
I didn't. I'm telling you, I didn't. For those of you who watch us on Rumble or Facebook or on Mike Ferguson in the morning on YouTube, we always do this little silly Kofifi dance. It just kind of came organically. I think Susie Moore named it. And I have my coffee mug that I love the coffee mug because it's so silly and it's so me. It's a high definition photograph of all of remember the cassette? Maybe you'd have the big boxes of cassettes and you'd organize your bands and your cassette albums in there. And it was all the 80s hair metal bands that I love so much. And I'm walking in the studio today and I've got it sitting on my notebook and nothing's in it. But I go to turn and it slides off and it breaks and crashes all over the studio.
Oh, so sad.
I know. Now I can't find it online because
no.
I just saw it on like a Facebook ad. I'm like, that looks great, and I clicked on it and bought it. And now I can't find the ad anymore. So if anybody knows where I can get that, please let me know. Please give me a heads up on that. All right, it is 7:07. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here and Ken Williams here. 7:20. Did you know today is National Face Your Fears Day?
Really?
So here's where I'm going with this at 7:20. I was going to make, kind of one of those silly segments of funny things we're all scared of. But when you look at the most recent survey of like the top 10 fears Americans have, wow, have we been affected by media and politics? And I mean, the things that people say they're absolutely scared of in life really are surprising. Some of them are goofy. We're going to have a little bit of fun. But I was looking back saying, there's more to talk about here than just a top 10 list. So 7:20, we'll do that. Vice President Kamala Harris paid a visit the last couple of days to Austin, Texas. Austin is not by the border.
No, it is
Just in case you were wondering about that.
Austin is also weird.
Yeah, but they're kind of proud about that, though.
Yes,
they like
are.
Austin, yeah.
Keep it weird, Austin.
That's right. They were leaving some lawmakers frustrated. She did not hop down to the southern border while she was in Texas because she is the border czar, after all. Fox News' Griff Jenkins has more from Eagle Pass, Texas.
Vice President Harris visiting Texas this past weekend.
I'm just so thrilled to be with all of you and to be back here.
Without stopping at the border or even mentioning it in a speech about abortion rights. In fact, the vice president hasn't been to the border since June of last year, when she visited a processing center in El Paso.
She could visit anywhere along the border. The fact is they've put their head in the sand. They've abandoned us along the border.
Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez's frustration is echoed by some border mayors who want to see something done.
Okay, so it's not even just in Texas. Obviously, Arizona is dealing with this as well. And they're watching the vice president, who supposedly the borders are, going there, not even mentioning the border in Texas, talking about abortion. She could have been talking about anything else, But the fact was she's not even addressing the illegal immigration issue, and communities along the border still deal with these surges of illegals who announce that they're coming because they know that they can actually do that. Cochise County, Arizona Sheriff Mark Daniels was on with, Fox's Your World. And here's what he had to say about it. Here's his take reacting to it.
I can't get this president, this vice president, or leadership in Congress to engage us, recognize us, or even act upon it. It's a complete insult.
I can't blame him for feeling that way, guys.
Oh, yeah. I would be extremely angry, especially, as close as she is. You're the border czar. And you've never been to the border. You have no plans to go to the border, and you don't care about the border, while my people are suffering down here under the weight of this administration's failure.
These people in the East Coast, in New York and Washington, D.C., are freaking out over 50 people. And thousands are crossing the border every day. I can't even imagine seeing Kamala Harris coming down to their area and not even acknowledging what's going on there. They're talking about thousands of people a day, or at least a day, crossing over the border, and she's not even acknowledging it. It's amazing to me. I don't know.
I mean, like Jenkins said, that she was there in June of last year, not even this past June. But to go, and Austin's not exactly right next to the border.
Well, no.
But when you're the vice president, anything's nearby, just hop on a helicopter or plane and go that way.
Yeah.
Because you've got that power. And to not acknowledge it, to not even talk about it, to not address it in any way, shape, or form, and to go to Texas to talk about abortion, because obviously they've got a very hotly contested governor's race there. Hopefully Greg Abbott is going to win by several points is what we hope. But it's really arrogant to a lot of people in Texas, Republican and Democrat alike, or Arizona, to come that close and simply not address it whatsoever at all. But this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is that this is what the left believes is going to be the distracting issue that gives them a fighting chance to win in November. And remember, there are some states where in the U.S. Senate races in particular that the Democrats could win and could possibly even pick up. Do not assume that just because things look really, really solid for the Republican in Missouri, that there can't be losses that the Republicans have in the U.S. Senate this year.
Yeah, there's definitely nothing in the bag right now, and we've got to stay on our A game if we want to take control of the legislature at this point.
Every single person has to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt. And matter of fact, at 7:35, we're talking to Jane Duker, and all of those elections mean voter turnout, and that affects races that are really important, including the St. Louis County executive race.
That's true.
But what's happening is one side really wants your eye off the ball.
Yes.
They want to appeal to that emotional issue and forget that you can't afford the groceries you used to be able to afford. That you've got to budget your travel because of the price of gas. That you've got a mess when it comes to all sorts of things from any business transaction. I mean, can you imagine trying to start a business right now if you have any sort of inventory or anything that you would actually have to have? I mean, I'm not talking about you go online and go into a franchisee website or something like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about an actual brick and mortar business. Can you imagine trying to start one right now?
No, it'd be impossible. I mean, I'd actually thought about. I already know because I was trying to start a business, a bakery, a cake shop, and the cost of butter alone has tripled.
Oh, jeez!
Wow.
That's almost unaffordable. And you pass it on to the customer, but the customer can't afford a $60 cake. I'm talking about a basic quarter inch or quarter sheet cake for $60. That's crazy.
Nope, not at all.
And sorry, now, Ken, I would not buy a $60 cake from you. I'm sure it would be delicious, but I'm not buying it from you.
Not for a quarter sheet, no.
And now energy prices are going up.
Yes.
Natural gas
All
is going
gas.
up. Well, guess what heats the oven for people that bake things? Yep. And you can't get more efficient. It takes a certain amount of energy to cook things. Yep. That's not going to change. Right. That's science. Well, now it costs more to get that energy. What are we going to do? Yep. That's coming back to us, all of us. And it's killing the businesses in between.
And whenever the Democrats say, and Biden has said this many, many times on a daily basis, that we're doing it to the corporations. We're taxing those corporations. We're going to make them pay.
Fair share,
They
right?
never, ever, ever, ever pay. The corporations do not. They pass it down to the customer. That's the way it is, and we are the customer.
That's business. That's the way it goes. All right, 314-912-1019. Just ahead, what is your biggest fear? What is your biggest fear? Serious fear or not so serious fear? I would actually love to hear. I'd be curious about that. 314-912-1019. The last large-scale survey of fears that Americans have kind of surprised me. I'll give you that list here in just a moment on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have a soul so dark. It is no more.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. You wanna do that? Get up, get up. Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, get up. This is your curtain call. Get up, get up. What are you waiting for? Get up, get up, get up.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
It's getting busy, 55 northbound, mainly as you come up from Carondelet towards Virginia. The Poplar Street Bridge, west end, is pretty heavy and slow. 270 southbound crowds at Olive, and then again on the northbound side, you're running slow from 55 most of the way up to Manchester. 70 eastbound, there is a heavy pocket at 4064. We've got a crash on the shoulder there. Then you've got some slowdowns approaching Route K and 79. This report is sponsored by Chucky on USA and Sci-Fi. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
Michael's Flooring Outlet is a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years, featuring exclusive products, unbeatable prices, and expert installation. You can choose from a wide variety of flooring options, including carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, plus many other options. And you'll gain a peace of mind knowing that your flooring and carpet installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's. You can shop in-store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home online. Check out everything Michael's Flooring has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for the great team at All Solutions Pest Control. All Solutions is the pest control company Christine and I trust with our home because they don't cut corners and they take the time and use the best products available to help protect your home at the highest level possible. Call All Solutions Pest Control today at 636-486-7888 and learn more about our special $67 introductory offer or visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Kenny Zhu, president of Color Us United.
Race became a profitable industry. That's what happened. Racial victimhood. We all believe in civil rights, but then there are people who actually profit off of racial victimhood in this country. Diversity, equity, and inclusion right now, the new hot thing in companies is a $10 billion plus industry.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
The supervisor of this liberal city said the iconic Blue Angel shouldn't be allowed to fly over his city. Take a guess and find out next.
Businesses don't run on automation or algorithms alone. What powers businesses are your people and the people they serve. At Cintas, your dedicated service reps understand what you need to help you keep your employees feeling safe, comfortable, and performing their best. So your business can too. For workwear, essential cleaning products, first aid and safety supplies, and fire protection services, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Over the weekend, San Francisco District 5 Supervisor Dean Preston tweeted, "The Blue Angels should not be allowed to fly over San Francisco." He tweeted this as the Blue Angels were flying over the city and during San Francisco's Fleet Week celebration. The Blue Angel flyover is the hallmark of Fleet Week, but apparently not for the self-described Democrat socialist. He didn't elaborate on why the Blue Angels shouldn't be allowed to grace the sky, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's likely due to his hatred of American symbols, military pride, and patriotic displays. And this is what it's come to, folks. The rabid Democrats have made it clear they aren't for celebrating American exceptionalism or the men and women who fight to make America the greatest nation on the face of the earth. Love of country and pride in our excellence should be bipartisan, but if it were up to them, the only things we'd celebrate would be Pride Week and the 7th COVID booster. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can listen to all of my hot takes at foxnewscommentary.com.
The candidates.
We're going to win this campaign.
The issues.
Gas prices, Biden inflation.
The election news, analysis, and opinion you won't get anywhere else. Decision 2022 happens.
There's a backlash coming
on News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
I'm going to ask you guys what your fears are here in a moment. There's a survey, and the last big survey we have is from 2021. They don't have one for 2022 that I could find, at least not this group, in a moment. And you may be surprised of what U.S. adults say they're scared of, the things that actually proactively give them anxiety. What are your fears? Let's talk about 314-912-1019. Today is National Face Your Fears Day.
Spooky activities for kids aren't for you. This year, visit the haunted house of adult fears. You'll encounter personal anxieties, delusions, jealousies, the pushing of emotional hot buttons. Don't blink. At any moment you could face thinning hair, adult acne, a younger colleague gets your promotion, walk in on an extramarital affair, a neighbor gets a really nice new car, reading glasses, corporate downsizing, you're dropped by your insurance carrier, your kid is getting her license, in-laws visiting for a week, a plummeting 401k, Cabernet that's gone rancid, the tranny goes out on the Beamer, experience weight gain before a high school reunion, bursitis that's flaring up, ED, the Michael Bublé concert is sold out, experience your worst nightmares, the haunted house of adult fears.
Open only during inconvenient hours in a crowded strip mall with expensive parking through Halloween. Don't miss it.
I'm afraid of all those things.
Yes. Yep. Okay, so there's the top 10 fears after this survey of over 2,000 people. And it shows, because first I thought it was going to be one of those silly ones. But man, what people say they're actually afraid of has changed over the generations, especially since 2020.
Really?
I mean, what would you think would be the things people fear the most?
Public speaking was always one of those.
That was
top
always number
ones,
one.
right?
Not even on the top 10.
Wow, really?
Not even on the top 10.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, my personal in my adult life has been my kids. Anything about them.
Okay, now that's actually on the list here.
Yeah.
It is. Let's see here. Let me start with, let's say number 10 here. Because, I mean, you would think people what are you scared of? And people used to say spiders.
Yeah. Snakes.
Or something like that. That's not what people are saying they're actually scared of. And when I'm talking about scared, I'm saying, and I'm going to read from the story, researchers into the experiences of more than 2,000 people revealed their top concerns and lingering impacts of an anxiety going back to 2000.
Lingering impacts of anxiety.
Number 10, what are U.S. adults afraid of?
I would say heights. I never had a problem with heights until I reached probably 40 years old. And suddenly I'm just really afraid of heights.
Not even on the list.
Crazy.
Heights isn't on the list.
Not even on the list.
Heights.
I am telling you, this entire list is a whole different thing than the way we answered this survey, not even a generation ago, 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so basically people are completely different now.
Yes.
Okay, how about this? Let's think. Okay, social media,
social rejection, or getting piled on. So bullying. So cyberbullying.
No.
Number 10, widespread civil unrest.
Oh. I'm actually afraid of that. That's true.
But that's like
That's
observing.
true.
What are you scared of?
Oh, yeah.
People in America, enough people in America say that they are scared of another round of George Floyd or Michael Brown riots.
Wow. Well,
That's actually making the list. That's actually giving them people active anxiety.
Yeah, that's a fear. I mean, I arm myself, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's not active anxiety. I mean, I'm not losing sleep over it,
right.
but I imagine people who were in the, who kind of survived it or who were in the wake of it or had somebody who was, probably have a bit of anxiety left
Or
from
just
that.
saw
Yeah.
it all over TV and social media for months on end.
That's true. Yeah.
Number 9, high medical bills.
That is a concern.
I thought Obamacare was going to fix all that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they told us. That's what they told us. That no one should ever go broke because of spending money on their health, right? That was one of the leading arguments for government-sponsored healthcare type systems like Obamacare.
We just need to go farther now, make it single payer. Then everything's free.
And I'll believe that because I believed ACA, and when my personal experience went from $350 a month for a family of 4 to $1,600 a month, and that's what I was paying. And I'm not lying here.
Oh, geez.
Okay, so number 8 of the survey of U.S. adults of what we're afraid of, actively afraid of, hate crimes.
Hate crimes?
Hate crimes.
Okay, that one's induced.
Yep.
Like the other two I get because those are kind of realities that people have lived with and do currently live with. But I've seen also the studies that say, okay, how much racism do you think is in the world, and it's up here, and then how much racism do you experience, and it's down here?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys are watching. It's like there's a really big difference. So it's like, okay, so that's a propaganda win for the media.
Yeah, it really is, and that's what I saw. That's what I thought when I first saw that. I said because there are now. I don't want to diminish the impact of the way people describe a hate crime. I think any crime of violence.
Yeah,
is you prosecute the actions. But so many times we see that they turn out to be hoaxes in order to make a propaganda point. And so it's actually diminished. But to your point, they've won if people are that scared of hate crimes, which numerically speaking are rare.
They're almost non-existent statistically.
Now, I watched a slew of these videos where you're in a grocery store aisle and someone walks up behind and bashes you in the back of the head and knocks you down. I saw a bunch of those. And I do actually, when I go to the store, I make sure I know people who are around me. And if that's an anxiety, then there you are.
That's violent crime, and I think that's justified because there has been an increase in violent crime around the country.
Right, true.
Like that's legitimate.
Like I'll walk down an aisle and I'll make sure I know exactly who's in there.
Yeah. Now, hate crimes is a different story.
I guess that's a little different. Yeah.
So number 7, becoming terminally ill. These lists aren't fun anymore.
Oh wow,
that's what people are scared of.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, that's rough.
Number 6, government corruption. I don't know where people have been. That's been here in the country since about the 1700s.
That's the status quo.
Yeah, that's the norm. But okay, I'm not scared of it. I'm angry about it.
Maybe we're more aware of it. Is that could that be part of it?
Yeah. And again, social media, every single thing, whether it's real or not, the accusations are out there.
What I guess
and we see them over and over and over again.
Would voter fraud be in there then?
Yeah, well, that'd be government corruption, I would think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so.
Yep.
Number 5, terrorism.
Terrorism still made the list. That's interesting.
Number 5.
Now, I do know that one had kind of risen post 9/11, obviously.
Right.
And that made sense. I'm curious about it now because we haven't had like any real terrorist sort of stuff go on.
No, we have not.
At all.
Number 4, not having enough money for retirement. I get that.
Valid.
Yeah. I actually get that.
Especially as we watch our 401ks tank.
Yeah. But you're seeing the pattern here on this.
Yeah. It's all stuff that our government was supposed to take care of.
Yeah. How about this?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Number 3, mass shootings.
Propaganda win.
Yeah, that's a propaganda win because I mean they happen, but man, when you consider the vast country.
Well, we also talk about the propaganda. Remember, we see these reports on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of mass shootings. Every day there's a mass shooting. Remember, a gang fight is considered mass shootings.
Yes. Two or three people injured during a shooting is considered like a mass.
That's a mass shooting. So gang warfare in the urban cores are considered mass shootings. So the numbers They think when we think mass shooting, we think of something like Uvalde. We think something like that concert in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
We think that's what we think of. The way they define it is anytime. I think it's 3 people.
Yeah,
maybe 4. But that includes every gang flare up that you have in Chicago,
and they are nightly, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Loved ones becoming seriously ill is number 2. To your point.
Yeah.
Ken.
Yep.
And
Back
sure,
to the medical
absolutely.
stuff. Yeah.
And then loved ones dying is number 1.
Okay.
So kind of a heavy
Man,
list, because
that's a heavy list.
Remember when it used to be losing my
Spiders.
job, spiders,
Yeah,
heights.
it's like going to work in my underwear. It's like it was something silly.
What'd you say, Gabe?
The underwear. Well, that's a recurring nightmare, but that's a whole other story, right? No, but you know what I'm saying though. I mean, they used to be kind of fun and silly little lists. They used to be the palate cleanser list we could throw out, right? But now that's all some heavy stuff,
Really heavy stuff.
And like I said before, a lot of it seems to be stuff that the government was supposed to take care of.
Yeah.
True.
Okay.
And we need to be paying more attention to our health care, our mental health care
And
in this country.
Speaking of government corruption, and speaking of speaking government corruption, let's use that as a segue into we're about to talk about the campaign against Sam Page, because Jane Duker is going to be with us. She's keeping an eye on the lack of transparency and the corruption that is the Page administration.
Speaking of mental health care.
Yeah, that's we'll do that right around 7:35 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at NewstalkSTL.com, or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
From the Newstalk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. Lambert Airport had its website targeted as part of a larger apparent cyber attack yesterday. Officials said the airport was still functioning normally during the outage, and the main feature not available was the tool to check how full the parking lots were. A 35-year-old man died Saturday after a large piece of oak tree fell on him while trimming a tree at a home near Fountain Park. EMS took him to an area hospital where he was pronounced dead. Schnucks has begun hiring for a new Flex workforce. Workers in the Schnucks Flex program will log into an online app, pick shifts, get notifications about available hours, and they will be covered by the same union contract as other employees. The owner of 7 Slim Chickens restaurants filed suit in St. Louis County last week, accusing a former area director of operations of asking managers to quit and work for Wingstop instead. The suit alleges the poaching violated a non-solicitation clause. Chimpanzee expert Jane Goodall attended the unveiling of the St. Louis Science Center's exhibit about her life yesterday. Some highlights of Becoming Jane, the evolution of Dr. Jane Goodall, include a Goodall hologram and a life-size replica of her research tent. The small diner at the corner of Choteau Avenue and South 7th Street, formerly known as the Eat Right Diner, will be reopening at the end of October as Fleur STL. The restaurant's new owner said he is putting a modern Sunday brunch spot twist on a vintage diner. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
In North County, westbound 270 sluggish approaching Hanley Graham. We've got a crash on the left-hand shoulder. Eastbound 70, an accident at T.R. Hughes is blocking the right lane. That traffic's at a halt back to about Lake St. Louis. 61 southbound this morning, showing is slow between Route P and I-70. 270 north, 55 up to Manchester's bogged down. Poplar Street Bridge traffic is slowing around the bend. Pockets from 64 onto the bridge. This report sponsored by USA and Sci-Fi's Chucky. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Scattered showers across the area this morning, making for some wet roads in this morning commute. The temperatures in the 60s to near 70 degrees. And a high today of only 72 under cloudy skies. A few spot showers later in the afternoon, but more rain on the way late tonight and early tomorrow into the afternoon. A first alert weather day because of a low risk of severe storms on Wednesday. The high temperature near 70, then turning cooler on Thursday and Friday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel Financial Advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert every Saturday morning at 9 right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Start a podcast for your business today with Epic STL Podcasts. Engage existing and potential customers, build trust in your brand, and drive traffic to your business. Log on to NewstalkSTL.com and click on the Epic STL Podcast button to learn more.
Considering an online pharmacy? Explore BeSafeRx to find useful information and resources to help you purchase medicines safely online. A safe online pharmacy requires a doctor's prescription, has an address in the United States, has a licensed pharmacist, and is licensed by a state pharmacy board. It's best to stay away from online pharmacies that don't meet these criteria. Discover more helpful tips and resources at BeSafeRx. Go to fda.gov/BeSafeRx.
The news and talk.
Inflation remains well above 2%.
We do expect we're going to be in for tougher times ahead.
That matters to St. Louis.
Raised interest rate by 0.75 percentage point.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
A couple of different aspects of the elections coming up that are really important, I think sometimes escape people's conversations. And one is that showing up to vote isn't just about the biggest race on the ticket. So like, for instance, if you're in the Missouri side of the area, you may think I don't care, or I don't think it's a big deal if I vote in the U.S. Senate race because, Eric Schmidt is in such a good position. If you're on the Illinois side and you say, yeah, J.B. Pritzker, so, is such a strong position, doesn't really matter if I show up. But that does matter if you show up because of the races below it. And I said it yesterday and I'll say it again, that I think the most consequential election in the entire St. Louis region, regardless of where you live, is the St. Louis County executive race. Because so much of what St. Louis County deals with affects other areas, and other areas are affecting that. The least of which is not crime, violent crime. It affects the city, affects St. Louis County. St. Charles is dealing with it. And what happens in St. Louis County really has a ripple effect. Joined now by Jane Duker. And Jane, I don't know that anybody tracks the entire county government and everything involved with the way that you do. And we're looking through your Twitter, and we've got a new now head scratcher from the Page administration, and this actually has to do with destroying records. I mean, what the heck is this all about?
No, I mean, it's terrifying to think that, it's got two layers of problems. This is the dog shelter, and it's been beleaguered for a very long time. Page inherited the problem, but he's certainly done nothing to make it better and probably has made it worse. One, you have an infestation, which, so you don't know that that's going on in the middle of the dog shelter, and is that safe for the dogs? And so they're claiming that the infestation of, I forget was it bugs, was it mice, whatever it was, and it ate records, like the classic "the dog ate my homework" thing. And so they destroyed 20,000 pieces of paper by the infestation, and then the acting director of health didn't know that you had to retain public records. So she went ahead and destroyed a bunch.
Wait a minute, Jane. Can we challenge? Say, wait a minute. You're in this position, acting director of health, and you didn't know you're supposed to retain records.
Right.
That doesn't pass the smell test.
No, it's ridiculous. And so, and here's the real kicker: is they're in the middle of a bunch of litigation involving the dog shelter, and they're destroying records. So, I mean, that kicks it up a notch because they're going to go to court. And the court's going to say, well, you destroyed documents they asked for, so we're going to have to sanction you. And guess what? The taxpayer pays. I mean, that's what's very frustrating about this. People think it doesn't matter and that they all do this. Well, they don't all do it to this level. And it comes back on you because St. Louis County's in a budget crisis, and Page, after the election, is going to be looking for a tax increase. It's that simple. It'll affect you every day. His mismanagement and his financial mismanagement is going to directly affect the taxpayer when he says, well, we've got a $30, $40, $50 million budget deficit, and we need to raise taxes. So he'll file an unbalanced budget with the council and either force them to make the cuts or wait till after November, thinking he wins, and then he asks for a tax increase because he just got reelected.
Jane, I want to put.
It matters.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to jump on you there in a second. Let me put this back into perspective. Some may say, okay, documents at a dog shelter. Okay, they need to be better, but this isn't that big of a deal. It's just a dog shelter. But when you look at the pattern of things that are withheld from the public, withheld from the council, and you look at this pattern, that's where I'm looking at it in context. Is this isn't a one-off? This seems to be the standard operating procedure of the Page administration.
Yes, and here's the other thing, and these are his appointees. Okay, the previous acting director of health couldn't even get confirmed by the council, including Democrats, and because he lied about being, racially assaulted, and having racial slurs hurled at him. All lies, proved on videotape and by witness testimony. Then you have the guy who, does the sex act on video, allegedly, 10 feet away from Page's office. You have Tony Weaver, who just pled guilty to a kickback scheme involving COVID relief, small business relief funds. These are his appointees. At some point, it's your fault when you appoint people. So now the latest is you've appointed a director of health, another acting director of health, who doesn't know that you retain public records. I mean, it is absolutely the pattern. The frauditor, who was there for 5 years, didn't complete an audit and was accused of sexual harassment. These are over and over and over again with bad appointees. And at some point, he needs to be held responsible for the people he chooses to put in the highest places of government. He's the one that says the Department of Health is the most important agency. And, he's had serial problems with his appointees. He put Rochelle Walton Gray, who was a former councilwoman, who voted illegally past her term in order to keep Lisa Clancy as chair, a Page, the biggest Page ally on the council, and he made her a vaccine coordinator. Never had any experience whatsoever. In the middle of the pandemic, he makes her a vaccine coordinator. And then her political ally, remember, Tony Weaver, the indicted guy, that was her administrative aide on the council.
Good morning.
So, I mean, this is over and over again.
I just want to real quick point out, and Gabe's got a question for you, that when you say the indicted guy, we're going to start having to be more specific.
Because there are lots of them.
When we say
there are a few of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And don't forget that the subpoenas dropped last fall. The feds have been inside county government for a year. So it's Tony Weaver. And what he was administrative aide to Councilwoman Rochelle Walton Gray. She voted past her term. Weaver got a $40,000 raise to be a change coordinator over at the jail. And then he decided to run a kickback scheme where he was, filing false small business relief fund applications with the county. And then would tell these people, you got to, give me part of your haul. And he talked about on wiretaps about how he was going to get, there's a lot of money and he's going to go get it all.
Good morning.
And by the way, he also worked on Page's campaign. So he was a top political and governmental aide for Sam Page. And he pretends like this has nothing to do with me. These are the people you choose.
Good morning, Jane. Gabe Pfeiffer here. You mentioned the corruption as it pertains to Sam Page's political appointees, and there's a suggestion that you're making also in your in some of your Twitter feed about his problem with black women. Can you just speak to that?
Yeah, talk about another pattern.
There's not. I can't even think of a single African American woman who has basically survived the Page administration. So obviously, he went after Rita Days because she wouldn't rubber stamp him. Had the disgraced former acting director of health call her a liar and say that she was somehow allowing racial slurs. Terrible. And so then he tried to get Rochelle Walton Gray to vote past her term to take her chairmanship away so Lisa Clancy could be chair. So he did that. And Councilwoman, now Chair Rita Days, has 25 years of legislative experience. I've known her since she was a state rep and a state senator in Jefferson City, and she is renowned, legislator and gets along with everyone except Sam Page. The first thing he does to Shalonda Webb when she gets elected to replace Rochelle Walton Gray is he prevents her from voting on the chair. He goes to court and sues his own council people. Cora Faith Walker, the poor woman who passed away, the week she had died, had gone to Twitter and said she was quitting working for Sam Page because he treated her so badly. Hazel Irby, who thought she was going to be county executive when Steve Stenger went to jail. Page had pulled the rug out from under her, so he gave her a job. Then he fired her, and she has a discrimination suit pending. The top change coordinator for the state, the transformation officer, chief transformation officer, she just left. I mean, African American women are not people who are treated well within the Page administration. So yes, that's a pattern.
All right, we're visiting.
Very unfortunate.
Oh, it is. Yeah, Jane, I wish we had more time with you because I wanted to get into the, you obviously
crime?
Have a lot. Yeah, I was going to say police and crime,
Yeah.
Because we've got, obviously we had the police, St. Louis County Police Officers Association President Joe Patterson on with us yesterday on the program talking about why they are so fired up. Yes, they are fired up in favor of Mark Mantovani because of his communication relationship with them, but because of the way they've been left behind by the Page administration. And he took it really personally, Jane. I mean, you've worked with law enforcement for years on an attorney and a lobbyist basis, as well. I mean, these guys and these gals are taking this really personally, and I've just got a minute or so left.
Mm-hmm, they are. And, you were right. So goes St. Louis region, so goes the whole state of Missouri. And that's why when I was running against Page, the Missouri FOP endorsed me because they said, if this region fails, it really has an adverse effect on the state of Missouri as a whole. And that's why this is a statewide issue. We're the economic engine of the state, and crime is holding us back.
Without a doubt. All right, Jane Duker, people should get in touch with you on Twitter. It's easy to find you just at Jane Duker on Twitter. Let's talk again soon.
I hope so. Thank you.
All right. Once again, Jane Duker, and she's coming this from a Democratic perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she just lays out the receipts, man.
Yep.
I mean, that's what's going on. All right, 314-912-1019. A high-profile Democrat says, I'm not a high-profile Democrat anymore. I'm just going to be a high-profile non-Democrat. I'll let you hear directly from her at around 7:52 on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Really busy this morning. They're working to clear a crash eastbound 70 at TR Hughes. They've got it off to the right side, but traffic is backed up to Lake St. Louis. Eastbound 64, heavy pockets as you approach Lake St. Louis and again approaching Wing Haven. It's all right in the valley, but then slows McKnight most of the way into Big Bend. Westbound 6440 slow from Kings Highway most of the way to Hanley. South 170 backing up at the Parkway. North 270 is backed up most of the way from I-55 to Manchester. Bridge complex downtown very heavy. 5570 backing up 203 to the Split. 64 West backed up 15th Street to the Split. And 5564 jammed from 64 across the bridge. This report sponsored by Dell Technologies, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Dell Technologies provides growing businesses with tools to do incredible things because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
The Vic Borselli Show.
Tuesday at 10:05, only 28 days till the election. We'll see what Missouri Representative, soon-to-be State Senator Nick Schroer has to say about that.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Columbo here for our family dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, a one-stop solution for all your family's dental needs, including braces. Dr. Boscia uses the My Forever Smile Braces system, which straightens teeth many times in less than a year for half the price of traditional braces. Traditional braces or Invisalign can cost $6,000 or more, but Dr. Boscia only charges $29.98 for My Forever Smile, and incentives and insurance can lower the price even more, plus New Creation offers in-office financing. Learn more at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Do you have a property that is more hassle than is worth? Hi, this is David with House Sold Easy, and I buy houses cash. If you own a property and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-293-3000. Do you own an ugly property, a behind on mortgage payment property, a lazy tenant that won't pay rent property, a too much junk and clutter property, or even a, hey, I'm curious about a fair cash offer property? Well, don't worry. I buy them all, and I want to make you a fair cash offer. Call me at 314-293-3000.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. I love to grill and definitely prefer using charcoal over gas. And ever since I met Jonathan Heslop and he introduced me to his product, Rockwood Lump Charcoal, I can't use anything else. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory and has been the nationally highest consumer-ranked charcoal for several years. So you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. Doesn't get any better than that. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Every once in a while, you've got somebody who becomes kind of the conscience of your movement. And when they give up on you, what does that say about you? If you think about it. It's 7:52. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here and Ken Williams here. For instance, at one point you could say Barry Goldwater may have been the conscience of the conservative movement. I mean, his most best known book was actually called Conscience of a Conservative. And so you could say at some point that maybe some of the pundits and the writers and the researchers like I don't know, William F. Buckley, people like that, Russell Kirk, Walter Williams, Thomas Sowell. You can go down the line, and the left has had some of those, as well. That could be the conscience. I mean, James Carville tried to fill that role after the Clinton elections in the 90s, and so you've got some people that aren't just trying to be contrarian, but they're trying to say, hey, here's what won, here's what people are wanting, here's how to respond. I think Tulsi Gabbard was trying to fill that role.
Yes.
And the more that she actually appealed to the middle and even to the center right, for some reason, the angrier the far left got.
I noticed that. It was quite the phenomenon because her popularity skyrocketed. Like once people heard her speak, and I think Google said that her name became the highest search term
after one of those debates.
After one of those debates, and then she was immediately just torpedoed. Everything about her campaign, her ability to get her message out to the Democratic voters was torpedoed by Democrats specifically. And I thought that was a very strange thing to do to somebody who had conceivably a lot of middle appeal.
Because remember, Tulsi Gabbard's a liberal.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
she's in favor of a big, government social net. She's not a conservative, although I would say she's fiscally more conservative than most Democrats are, but she isn't, by our definition, what would be like a fiscal hawk.
No, not at all.
And she was appealing to the people the Democrats need to appeal to, and they got mad at her for that.
It's so crazy.
And so she ends up having conversations, whether it's Joe Rogan or whether it's Tucker Carlson or whether it's anybody like that, not changing what she believes in, but pointing out where the left has just gone nuts. And it looked to me like Tulsi Gabbard was trying to give liberals a sane landing place.
Yeah. They needed an off-ramp from their leftward turn. And she was providing that, but they ostracized her essentially.
Yeah.
And she seems like she's trying to appeal to the more traditional Democrats, saying, look,
right,
this thing is off the rails. There's no way we're going to be able to get it back on the rails, so come with me if you can.
And to that end, she goes on social media, and Gabe, you found this either Twitter, Rumble, somewhere like that, because she's actually on Rumble. But here's the announcement that she made.
I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers who are driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism, who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution, who are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, who demonize the police but protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, who believe in open borders, who weaponize the national security state to go after their political opponents, and above all, who are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. Now, I believe in a government that's of the people, by the people, and for the people. Unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not. Instead, it stands for a government that is of, by, and for the powerful elite. Now, I'm calling on my fellow common sense, independent-minded Democrats to join me in leaving the Democratic Party. If you can no longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country, then I invite you to join me.
I don't know where she's going. She's not a Republican.
No, she's landing, I guess, firmly as the independent fence.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
You'd notice that none of that indicated she'd changed her opinion on political issues or tax issues or gun control or abortion or anything like that.
Right.
And by the way, when she talked about anti-white racism, she's Pacific Islander. She's talking as someone who is not actually Caucasian.
Right.
And so those are cultural and those are fringe complaints. I mean, about the fringe and about that, she's saying this is nuts about the wokeness and about that. Basically everything that Bill Maher is now complaining about. And he's staunchly liberal.
So it's basically your solid standard liberal finally calling out the far left who've been dragging the party to that side of the aisle and stoking it throughout our culture.
Well, I don't know where she's going.
Yeah.
I'm glad she's speaking up on that. I mean, the fringe left is in power, and this is the danger when the left gets that fringy. And so she's, basically tried to be the conscience. She was rejected. They called her, every name that is an insult in the world of the left.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we would be insulted by it, but she's leaving. Is that going to change how the Democratic Party operates? No, not at all.
No.
But I would not be surprised if there are those folks in the middle who are saying, you know what, maybe that's something to even consider because Tulsi Gabbard makes a lot of sense on a lot of things.
Do you remember that Elon Musk diagram that he made where He didn't change. The left moved further left and made him look like he's on the right. That's kind of what's going on.
Yeah, Elon Musk isn't a conservative by any means.
No, not at all.
All right. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
How is your car payment treating you? What if I told you you could make a free phone call right now and reduce your car payment by as much as $83 a month? Look at your car payment closely. You could be paying as high as 20% interest. Rate Genius can help you reduce your car payments by reducing your interest rate to as low as 2.48% APR. We can refinance most existing car loans or leased cars, new or used, and save you money every month. Put more money back in your pocket. The call is free to find out how low we can lower your car payment. 5 minutes of your time right now could save you hundreds of dollars a year. Call Rate Genius now.
800-764-2179. 800-764-2179. 800-764-2179. That's 800-764-2179.
Not all applicants qualify for a loan or rate savings. Actual offer terms, including APR, are determined at the time of your application based on creditworthiness, value of the vehicle, loan term, and other factors.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. It has been another night of devastating Russian missile strikes on Ukraine, with the southern city of Zaporizhia bearing the brunt of this latest assault. At the same time, we're learning more about the heavy toll taken by Russian attacks earlier this week.
Ukraine's State Emergency Service say that at least 19 people were killed and over 100 others wounded in Monday's Russian missile strikes across Ukraine. The service adds critical infrastructure facilities were hit in Kyiv and 12 other regions, and 301 cities and towns were without power. Russia on Monday retaliated for an attack on a critical bridge by unleashing its most widespread strikes against Ukraine in months. They hit at least 14 areas, with most attacks far from the war's front lines. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Sounds like Ohio Democrat Congressman and U.S. Senate candidate Tim Ryan trying to put some distance between himself and President Biden. Last night's debate with Republican J.D. Vance, Ryan answered no when asked if Mr. Biden should run for re-election in 2024.
I've been very clear. I'd like to see a generational change. Mitch McConnell, Donald Trump, the president, everybody. We need a new generation.
Meanwhile, Republican Vance making the case for increased support and funding for police.
We've got to protect law enforcement, and we've got to do something that Tim Ryan failed to do, which is stop the leadership of this country from going after qualified immunity.
Last night's debate aired by News Nation. The country's third largest railroad union rejecting a deal with employers. It renews the possibility of a strike. It could cripple the economy. Both sides, though, will return to the bargaining table for more talks aimed at heading off a possible rail strike. On Wall Street, Dow futures down 18 points. NASDAQ futures 32 points lower. More on these stories, townhall.com.
You know how much you're really paying for life insurance through work? I can almost guarantee you're overpaying for limited coverage. I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent for over 20 years. My clients are shocked to learn how expensive life insurance at work really is because of a rate that's driven up by unhealthy people. Why pay more when you don't have to? For over 35 years, Select Quote has helped people save 50% or more by shopping highly rated insurance carriers. I found a 40-year-old man with high blood pressure, a $500,000 policy for only $18 a month. Don't procrastinate. Workplace open enrollment will be here soon. Let SelectQuote save you money and get you the coverage you need to protect your family.
For your free quote in just minutes, call 1-800-865-2266. That's 1-800-865-2266. 1-800-865-2266. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Full details on example policy and carrier ratings at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Price could vary by health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Very, very busy. Westbound 44 at Sappington, past Barry. We've got a crash involving a tractor trailer. 2 lanes are closed. Fire and EMS on the scene. And traffic is backed up east of Elm. 55 northbound, you've got a heavy pocket at Revis. Then it's slow Bayless up through Germania. 270 northbound, getting word of a crash. No details yet at Manchester, but that traffic was already jammed back to I-55. That was a 28-minute delay. 70 eastbound between Lake St. Louis and T.R. Hughes. We've got jammed traffic. That's due to an accident blocking dislocating the shoulder. I'm Joe Sonderman. This report sponsored by Blindster. Need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds, easy to install, guaranteed to fit. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop today and save big at Blindster.com. That's the latest from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Scattered showers across the area this morning, making for some wet roads in this morning commute. The temperatures in the 60s to near 70 degrees. And a high today of only 72 under cloudy skies. A few spot showers later in the afternoon, but more rain on the way late tonight and early tomorrow into the afternoon. A first alert weather day because of a low risk of severe storms on Wednesday. The high temperature near 70, then turning cooler on Thursday and Friday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by House Sold Easy. Looking to sell a house fast? Call David today at 314-293-3000. That's David with House Sold Easy at 314-293-3000.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News and World Report has recognized Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. That's 800-561-3405.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Listen to this noise coming out of the White House.
Live and local.
We need to get the message to people who are not being helped by Democrats.
Ron DeSantis showed people the back of his hand.
This is News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
This is the kind of adventure I usually have to force upon us, and here it is, falling into our laps.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
They're buying it.
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
Why don't you pop a squat, son?
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, 8:20. Cori Bush takes her reproductive freedom tour to downtown St. Louis yesterday, and it is absolutely as intellectually solid as you would expect it to be from Cori Bush.
So eloquent.
Yes, I will have a couple of the high-low lights on that.
High, low lights.
Yeah.
You almost sang that.
Almost, yeah, and I don't sing. You don't want that. Trust me. You do not want that. But we'll have some actual quotes from her, and if you can decipher them, more power to you, but we'll do that conversation at 8:20. At 8:35, I've got a very frightening guest, very scary guest. Yeah. Because the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, we mentioned the article yesterday, that they are very concerned that with the upcoming elections and the addition of, in their words, hard right legislators. Keep
Sounds
that
scary.
Keep that handy for 8:35. That include Nick Schroer, and our guest at 8:35 is Mary Elizabeth Coleman, because they are scared that the state Senate is going to become more conservative.
Oh, no.
Yes. So we are going to get to the bottom of this, and the very, very frightening state representative, Mary Elizabeth Coleman, is going to be with us at 8:35.
And actually today, Nick is on Vic's show.
Oh, there you go. So this is like the scariest radio station in town.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Just in time for Halloween.
Exactly. Okay, and I know this is going to rub somebody the wrong way, but whatever. Okay, so I look at the news websites all over St. Louis this morning, and everybody's got this story about intoxicating edibles found in child's candy at St. Charles trunk or treat. And the other headlines are kind of the same. Marijuana edible found in child's Halloween bag. In St. Charles, there was a car show over the last couple of days, and the St. Charles police say that we got a report that somebody put their edible gummy worms, and I don't mean edible as you can just eat it. All candy is supposed to be edible, but the marijuana edible type.
Yeah.
And I thought, that is really bizarre. But we always hear every year about some new scare tactic, some new thing we're supposed to be frightened of. And so I started reading the article, and I just linked back to the St. Charles Police Department because most of the articles put their Facebook post on there. And what St. Charles Police Department said was, if you or someone you know attended the trunk or treat, it said today, but it was October 8th, at the JJ's car show, please ensure you check your child's candy. We have a single report of a parent discovering a small bag of Delta 88 edibles, which are similar to gummy worms. That's actually Delta 8 edibles, because I did a Google search, but technically that's what they're called. And the police department statement goes on to say, officers thoroughly checked the area, found no one handing out this item. We are investigating, determine how this occurred. If you find anything suspicious, call this number, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I hate to be that guy, who's like, well, actually, but I'm going to be that guy for a second here. I've been doing this a long time. The picture that they posted was taken from the family who said, look at this. We found this marijuana edible gummy worm in our child's candy thing. Well, it is a picture of two gummy worms inside this plastic container with the Ziploc seal on the top, with the commercial label on the front, the Delta 8, THC marijuana, is clearly labeled as the adult edible marijuana gummies. I'm calling BS on the story a little bit. I'm having a little trouble believing that some guy was so nefarious that he wanted to put marijuana gummy worms in a kid's Halloween bag, but he left them in the package to clearly identify them. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I know somebody's going to get mad at me. 314-912-1019, but that does not make any sense to me.
Now, if you were going to do, I actually have the idea to hurt a child with that stuff, you would have taken an existing gummy bag of some kind and find a way to, put that in there and mix them together. Right. But I like Gabe's spin on it. I mean, I thought that was really, really good and really creative. It was the grandmother who had reported it.
Well, yeah, the grandmother posted it on Facebook in response to the St. Charles Police Department. She says her daughter-in-law found it in her grandson's bag.
Right. And Gabe said, so the daughter-in-law got caught.
Well, maybe.
By the grandmother and said, hey, no, I found it in his bag. It's not mine. I found it in his bag. And then the grandmother proceeded to say, well, we've got to call the police. We've got to make sure that, that this never happens again. So then the daughter's kind of going, we really don't have to. No, we have to. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty funny.
And we don't know that that's what happened. Just to be clear.
No, not at all. But it's a scenario that we created.
Because what I did is I followed that post that the St. Charles Police Department posted. And I found the post by the grandmother that we just talked about, and she had the pictures, which apparently are where the media found all these and published them. Now, I'm going to leave some room for, okay, I guess it's possible that some guy sees these little kids, trick-or-treating, what they call trunk-or-treating, and saying, oh, I think it'd be funny to spend my marijuana gummies and put it into a kid's bag. So I looked up Delta 8 marijuana gummies just to see what's up there. Those things are expensive. It's not my thing, but those things are expensive.
Listener Julia's on the line.
Hey, Julia,
go ahead and tell him what you told me.
Okay.
Well, I'm not an expert on this stuff, okay?
Nobody is, right?
But what I can tell you is that if you go across the state line and buy yourself some gummy worms, it's going to cost you, $40 or $50 for a small package.
Yeah, that's what the website said.
Yeah. So, just putting it out there that there's you have to have a multi-millionaire, psychopath who wants to get everybody stoned. I don't know.
Julia, which of the stores is most expensive over there?
Oh, I could not tell you.
Oh, okay. I was just trying. I was trying to. I was a trap. I was trying to catch you.
Not that I go or anything. Thanks, Julia. Thanks for listening.
Love the show.
Thank you, Julia. Yeah, see, that's what I thought.
That's great.
And see, this is the thing. After all these years in media, immediately I'm going, gosh, I'm going to be a jerk. But I'm like, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I agree with Julia. I mean, you can't just say, oh, well, look, somebody drops them in one of those. I mean, what they walked past a kid's bag and said, oh, I'm going to put that in there.
Right.
No, I don't think so.
I'm just going to grab this along with the Twizzler package of the fun size.
And it's not like they're created in the same place that regular candy is, It's not like next door, oh, we got it mixed up like the left and right Twix,
Okay, so here's the reason I'm bringing this up, because every Halloween, it seems we get one of these scare tactic trends, okay? Now it's also, watch out, they're going to put marijuana gummy worms in your kids' house. No, they're not. Like I said, I did look it up. And those things really are expensive. Like Julia said, things are expensive.
Yeah.
And the other part of this is that we hear about, for instance, rainbow fentanyl. Check your kids' candy. Oh my goodness, throw it out if you don't know what it is, because the drug dealers are trying to put rainbow fentanyl in your kids' Halloween candy. No, they're not. Okay, rainbow fentanyl is a real thing. It's out there. Don't get me wrong. But when we overhype the fear-mongering, we dilute the actual carefulness that we need to have, because then we roll our eyes at everything.
And that's the damage that's done.
Exactly.
Listener Joe's on the line.
Joe.
Regarding that, actually.
Okay. Hey, Joe, you're on Newstalk STL.
Yeah, guys, great show. I was just, they had I don't want to add to the fear mongering because that's not my style, but there's 100,000 Americans died from fentanyl last year.
Right.
And they're saying that they've put some of these fentanyl that in shipping them, that they've tried to disguise them as Skittles. And they had a show about that. So there does, I don't think people are going to do that on purpose, but just an FYI.
Well, what I saw, because I think I know what you're referring to, because I looked up, there was a link to the DEA's website, and they said it could be made to look like any of these candies, but I didn't see where it had actually happened. Now, strangely enough, there were some looked like sidewalk chalk blocks with food coloring, and there are the pills that are different colors. I mean, that's absolutely true. But the thing is if you're dealing fentanyl, first of all, one of those pills would wipe out a whole block of kids, and that's just too expensive and doesn't make any sense they'd want to do that.
So along those lines, guys, here's my question: the FBI raided 11 homes of pro-life people that went to abortion clinics and paced outside and tried to save lives. The FBI sent 20, 30 agents, guns drawn, to their homes and arrested them. But we had 100,000 Americans die last year from fentanyl.
Yeah.
So how is it possible that our federal agencies are expending these resources on people that are a threat to no one when there's fentanyl coming across our border that killed 100,000 of our neighbors?
Joe, that is a federal agency that has zero priority. When you've got 100,000 people dying on something and they're not checking into it like that, and not only that, but the Biden policy is to keep the border open still.
Well, guys, how do we change it?
Elect different people.
Yeah. We've got to vote. Everybody vote.
But guys, should we should we have to ask our neighbors to vote Republican to stop fentanyl from coming in across our borders?
That's how crazy.
Don't our neighbors see this and want to stop it too? This is that Americans don't want to stop is horrific. I don't understand my neighbors. Do you guys understand?
No,
and they're going to vote for a Democrat.
Here's the thing, Joe, is that the answer to your question: should we have to? No. Do we have to?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's even such partisan loyalty, and the fear-mongering goes into politics as well, that, yes, we have gone that crazy, Joe.
And Joe, we've got a propaganda wing called the mainstream media for the Democrat Party, and they promote their policies. That's about as plain as it can be made.
Guys, great show. Keep it up.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
314-912-1019. It's a big distraction that we have to deal with on there. But the point is that don't buy into oh my goodness, I'm going to live in fear because drug dealers are trying to load my kid's Halloween candy bag with fentanyl. No, they're not.
And two different things can be true. That fentanyl thing, Joe is very concerned about that.
That is true.
And that needs to be addressed big time. I get what he's saying.
Yeah, I'm saying is we just got to be serious about the real problem so we don't dilute it. All right, 314-912-1019. Intellectual gems from Corey Bush coming your way in 4 minutes on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Still extremely busy. 44 westbound at Sappington past Barry. We've got a jackknife tractor trailer crash. 3 lanes are blocked. Traffic is at a halt back east of Elm. Give yourself an extra 10 minutes there. 270 northbound, 55 up to 64 is slow due to an earlier stalled vehicle. It's on the shoulder. 64, 55 westbound headed for the Poplar Street Bridge is back to Exchange. We even have some extra volume on westbound 64. 64 east, Lindbergh to Big Bend is slow. 70 east, Lake St. Louis to T.R. Hughes slow. A crash is blocking the shoulder there. 370 westbound at the Discovery Bridge. A crash is blocking the 2 left lanes. This report is sponsored by Lowe's, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Hey, Tim Jones here with Tony Colombo for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner at the Wallner Home Selling Team. If you're thinking about taking advantage of the market and selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now. Put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. Rodney and Jen have the experience and work ethic that sets them apart from all the rest. That's why they sell 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor and have so many qualified buyers right now. They'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. The results, Tony, speak for themselves.
That's right, Tim. In fact, I recently benefited from those results personally. My wife and I couldn't be happier with the job the Wallners did for us, selling our old home in less than 2 days for significantly more than we were asking for and finding us the perfect new home. Like so many others, we loved working with Rodney and Jen, the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. So if you're thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
The supervisor of this liberal city said the iconic Blue Angels shouldn't be allowed to fly over his city. Take a guess and find out next.
Businesses don't run on automation or algorithms alone. What powers businesses are your people and the people they serve. At Cintas, your dedicated service reps understand what you need to help you keep your employees feeling safe, comfortable, and performing their best. So your business can too. For workwear, essential cleaning products, first aid and safety supplies, and fire protection services, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Over the weekend, San Francisco District 5 Supervisor Dean Preston tweeted, "The Blue Angels should not be allowed to fly over San Francisco." He tweeted this as the Blue Angels were flying over the city and during San Francisco's Fleet Week celebration. The Blue Angel flyover is the hallmark of Fleet Week, but apparently not for the self-described Democrat socialist. He didn't elaborate on why the Blue Angels shouldn't be allowed to grace the sky, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's likely due to his hatred of American symbols, military pride, and patriotic displays. And this is what it's come to, folks. The rabid Democrats have made it clear they aren't for celebrating American exceptionalism or the men and women who fight to make America the greatest nation on the face of the earth. Love of country and pride in our excellence should be bipartisan, but if it were up to them, the only things we'd celebrate would be Pride Week and the 7th COVID booster. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can listen to all of my hot takes at foxnewscommentary.com.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty. The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Tony Colombo just texted me, and he saw the same thing that Joe saw, where he said that there was actually fentanyl being colored and put into packages that look like actual candy, trying to get them in. Most of the fentanyl coming through the border, by the way, is not being put in somebody's backpack and snuck across the Rio Grande. I think it's one of the misnomers of the fentanyl thing. It's being hidden in ships at the ports and actually coming through the ports. That's where
it's from China, primarily.
I've heard that argument. Did we confirm that? Where'd you see that?
I saw that in a report about maybe 6 months ago.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Ann Wagner talked about that on Sunday. I've heard that accusation, and I'm not saying it's not true. I'm sure it absolutely could very well be true. I just haven't seen that confirmed.
Yeah.
At this point. So Tony says, no, they found them in packages that's designed to mimic, Skittles and stuff like that. Okay. That absolutely could be happening. To the point is that they don't want that ending up in your kid's Halloween bag, not because they give a rip about your kid, but because that's a terrible business move.
Well,
and they don't want that. They want to kill off their customers, basically.
Fentanyl is actually incredibly inexpensive to make. That's a fact. I've read that. And it replaces the more expensive cocaine or heroin leaves or whatever I don't know how they do it.
But it's very expensive to transport. So the cost of it is, there's still a cost there for it. And the point that I was making, we ran a little heavy on that last segment, is that we hear this fear mongering all the time on something. Okay, yes, be careful. Somebody could be just sick enough to put something out there in kids' candy. The likelihood of it happening is next to zero, but it's not completely zero, I guess. And it takes about the equivalent of 10 grains, 15 grains of rice, that amount. Think of 10 grains of rice, 12 grains of rice. That's the amount of fentanyl it takes to kill a human being without a chance to revive. I mean, that's how much it takes. So we're seeing these pictures everywhere of these, sweet tart sized fentanyl tabs saying they're going to put this in your kid's Halloween kit. No, they're not. There's no reason whatsoever profitability for them to do that. They don't want that. And then I heard somebody argue, well, what they really want to do is just get your kid hooked on it. You want a 5-year-old hooked on fentanyl, so they're going to go carjack somebody to sell the car so they can get more, sweet tart fentanyl? No, that's not what's happening. But still, obviously, be careful. There are some sickos out there. There just aren't as many as what I think the media wants us to live in fear with.
Yeah, the whole time we were raising our daughters, and every Halloween, we would take their bags of goodies and we would dump them out and hand check everything. And it was weird because when we would do that, half the candy would disappear. But
I know, isn't that weird how that happens?
It's the weirdest thing.
I know.
But the sacrifice is worth it to keep the kids safe. Yeah.
I mean, you do what you have to do. If nothing else, tell your children it's a lesson in taxation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. By the way,
and I love chocolate. So
I'm sure that's just a coincidence.
Dad, why don't I ever have chocolate? I like chocolate. I don't know. It's weird. They won't give you any chocolate.
It was here a minute ago. It was kind of funny, and I can say this because my daughter is sound asleep because she works such a late night shift. She's got her first job that's paying really well, and she called me and she was really upset because she wasn't getting all of her money. And it was the taxes that were being taken out. I'm like, looks like we just created a conservative.
Yeah, we did.
Because I said, listen, call the guy, because I didn't want to sit there and do my political rants. I said, call the guy who does your taxes. Tell him whether that's correct as far as the law goes. And she called me back. She goes, that's how much taxes are taken out? I'm like, welcome to the real world.
Yeah.
Are you registered to vote? By the way,
I remember when my youngest daughter, she just recently said that to me. She works at Dewey's Pizza, which is really good.
Well,
and she's making all
Pizza,
kinds of money there. Yeah. And she came home and she saw her check and she's like, they take this much out? Right. Are you kidding me?
They didn't do anything to earn that. Yes and yes.
And I told her, I said, well, then that's why you have to vote people in who aren't going to take all your money.
That's right. Who have the same aversion to taxes as you do.
That's exactly right.
Okay, 8:27 right now. We got an information segment coming your way in about 3 minutes. At 8:35, we've got one of the most frightening people in the Missouri legislature, according to the Post-Dispatch.
Scary.
I mean, she's just scary. And so we're going to let everybody know how scary Representative Mary Elizabeth Coleman is, because the St. Louis Post-Dispatch had this article yesterday about how a hard right representative like Mary Elizabeth Coleman and Nick Schroer are going to possibly influence the state Senate to become more conservative. And they think we should be scared. So you know what? We're going to talk to the scary representative here.
They're not just MAGA. They're not just ultra MAGA. They're hard. They're hard right.
Hard right. That's the St. Louis Post-Dispatch's term. Hard right.
Are they pseudo hard right, though?
No, hard right.
Okay.
Real deal hard right.
Man.
All right. Get ready, Mary.
That's scary.
Elizabeth. All right. By the way, Cori Bush decided to do her reproductive freedom tour as part of her campaign for re-election. She was
Now,
in downtown St. Louis yesterday.
I want you to read this the way she says it, okay?
Oh, gosh.
Please,
Here
please.
are a couple of highlights, lowlights. I'm looking at Channel 5's article. So if you think that I'm actually making up quotes, just look at it yourself. And so she is quoted as saying, let's do a few of these. Abortion care is health care because one thing that I said to people was, you don't go for that type of procedure at the gas station. You go to a medical clinic because that is a medical procedure. It is a procedure, and it's a procedure that saves lives.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that was all right. At least
Logic.
coherent.
That was logic.
Okay. So she goes on to say, and I'm just going to read the words that she said. It's not a Republican or Democrat or Libertarian group. It's not, that is not the issue. This is about human beings, and there are Republicans who have abortions. I'm sure there are Republicans who have abortions. But I think it was interesting that her big punchline, her big money line on arguing for abortion is that this is about human beings. You think, Corey?
Yeah, it is about human beings, and the deniers that there are actual human beings in the womb that they're killing.
Yeah. And so here's the other quote in Channel 5's article on this. I'm just going to read it word for word.
Yeah.
So this is that this affects any and all people, so any and all people should have a voice in this. Well, thank you for clearing that up, Congresswoman.
I don't know what you cleared up, but...
Oh, geez. You know who can string together a sentence pretty well? State Representative Mary Elizabeth Coleman.
She strings together sentences really hard.
Yeah, hard right. I mean, she's scary according to Post-Dispatch. So we're gonna tell you how frightened you should be. You're gonna hear from her at 8:34 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com. This is what's happening.
Secure border.
This border is a disaster. Massive chaos that's happening.
Interest rates remain high.
News, analysis, opinion.
What comes next?
Got some news for you. This is News Talk STL.
From the Newstalk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasevich. On Saturday, the St. Charles Police Department made a Facebook post warning parents whose children participated in the trunk or treat at JJ's Car Show to check their kids' candy for drugs. A small bag of Delta 8 edibles was reportedly found in one child's Halloween candy. Officers thoroughly checked the area and did not find anyone passing out the edibles. The St. Louis City Board of Education has chosen an interim superintendent to lead the St. Louis Public Schools after Kelvin Adams retires at the end of this year. Nicole Williams, Adams' chief of staff, will take over on January 1st. The search for Adams' permanent replacement is ongoing. St. Louis County's Animal Control Department has destroyed roughly 20,000 pounds of paper records without proper permission after cockroaches and mice infested the documents, county public health officials said yesterday. The destruction comes as the county faces 3 lawsuits and open records requests related to its animal shelter. The new Bass Pro Shop store, currently under construction in Sunset Hills at Watson and Lindbergh, will be adding 17,500 more square feet and now take up the entire shopping center. A deal was reached for the tile store next door to terminate its lease early. The Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences was awarded to 3 U.S.-based economists yesterday, one of which teaches at WashU. Philip Dybvig is a professor of banking and finance at the Olin Business School of Washington University in St. Louis. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Still very busy. Westbound 44 at the Sappington Road overpass. We've got a tractor-trailer crash. Only the right side is squeezing by there. Traffic's at a halt back east of Elm. Make that a 10 to 12-minute delay. On eastbound 64, we've still got some heavy traffic as you approach Winghaven, although that's starting to do a little bit better. It's still pretty slow from Lindbergh, Clayton Morrison, most of the way through Big Bend. 270 North, just looked at it. It's still backed up south of Gravois up to I-64. That's a 20-minute delay. And the Poplar Street Bridge westbound still slow pockets 64 to the bridge. This support sponsored by Napa Auto Parts. When your ride fires on all cylinders, so do you. That's why Napa's on a mission to keep you in motion. With nearly 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores and over 17,000 Napa Auto Care centers, the Napa network has everything you need to get up and go. Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Scattered showers across the area this morning, making for some wet roads in this morning commute. The temperatures in the 60s to near 70 degrees. And a high today of only 72 under cloudy skies. A few spot showers later in the afternoon, but more rain on the way late tonight and early tomorrow into the afternoon. A first alert weather day because of a low risk of severe storms on Wednesday. The high temperature near 70, then turning cooler on Thursday and Friday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Colombo here for Agers Heating and Air Conditioning. We trust Agers with our home because their number one priority is doing right by the customer. Temperatures are changing outside, and as we transition from warmer temps to cooler ones, if you have any issues keeping your family comfortable, don't wait. Call the great team at Agers so they can address the issue before it gets worse. Because whether it's repairs or replacement, Agers is there with the clarity and attention to detail your home deserves. Contact Agers now at 636-242-6515 or through their website, callagers.com.
Since 2007, the state of Missouri and local governments have handed out almost $5 billion in tax subsidies or abatements to private developers. That money could have gone to basic services like schools and public safety. And studies show these subsidies don't produce the promised jobs and growth. If developers want to build a sports stadium or shopping mall, why should they be given our tax dollars to do it? It's time to reform economic development subsidies. The Show Me message has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Tim said, how about pseudo-fascist? That's probably the best. But they're not using it. See, somebody said, they didn't say quasi. I said quasi. I got to remember what I say.
Well, I just don't know what semi-fascist could possibly be.
Half fascist. We're fash. Semi-fascist would be fash.
That sounds like the popular term.
The kids would say,
yeah.
Oh my God, Ken, you're right. What's the sitch? Well, I'm a fash.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Listen anytime.
It happens
anywhere. Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news.
With the News Talk STL app. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Catch me tonight at 7 o'clock. But right now, back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
It's October, so I guess we should have put a warning out that this could be a frightening interview.
Yeah.
Because there are people scared.
I know.
I was reading in the Post-Dispatch that they're scared. Because Mary Elizabeth Coleman and Nick Schroer might be elected to the state Senate. And according to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, they are hard right, and they could make the state Senate more conservative. So be afraid, people. Be very afraid. Hi, I'm Mike. That's Ken. Joined now by State Representative Mary Elizabeth Coleman.
Hi, Mary Elizabeth.
The very scary Mary Elizabeth Coleman.
You're so scary.
So scary.
I was going to say boo.
You scared me.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so
I have that effect on people.
Yeah, it was funny because this popped up like in my social media feed literally while we're on the air. I think it was about this time yesterday, and Mary Elizabeth texted me. She goes, I think you said you didn't even know about that article until it popped up, and I hadn't read it yet. And then
I hadn't even read it. I was listening to you dropping my kids off at school, and it came on, or you were talking about it, and I started dying laughing. And Chris and I were riding together because my car broke down and it's at the shop and like whatever. And I said, Chris, is this every morning? This is such a funny thing to me that this is This is the perception that a conservative mom from Arnold is terrifying to people.
Oh, my goodness. Well, let me, in the very first paragraph, with a new crop of hard right Republicans, that's you, by the way, hard right Republicans expected to join the Missouri Senate, some Democrats are worried that the upper chamber's priorities will swing more to the right in the next legislative session. And, of course, then they go on to, how you...
That wasn't even my favorite part. My favorite part was when they were like, we called for a comment from this person and this person, this person. They didn't bother to respond because, why respond to people who are going to misquote you? Yeah. And then I actually called them back, and they say in the article they didn't like what I said, so they just didn't quote me.
Wow.
She moderated her responses for this article. It's like, I didn't moderate anything. I just told you guys what I thought, and, they chose not to print any of it because they decided it was not going to fit the narrative.
Mary Elizabeth, when you hear this stuff, when you see this stuff on TV being called hard right, you've got to have pause and just go, what are they talking about?
Well, I think what I see is a media, echo chamber that has gotten so far away from what average Missourians, average Americans think, that the views that I hold, the views that you hold, the views that Nick holds, really are representing our district and our voters. And to make these kinds of crazy claims that we're somehow out of step with the electorate, it's really insulting to the guy at the grocery store who says to me, hey, thanks for passing SEPA, or the grandmother who's been praying outside of Planned Parenthood for 50 years, thanks for passing Missouri's trigger bill to outlaw abortion. They just cannot wrap their minds around that these are things that most Missourians really value. And so they got to paint us with these broad strokes or try to label us in ways that are kind of farcical.
Well, you may call it in touch with mainstream voters in your area, but remember, according to the Post-Dispatch, which takes its sort of lead from the Democratic Party, everything you just described is scary.
I know, it's true. Nothing's more terrifying than a conservative woman.
Well, actually, there's a lot of truth to that, to the media.
Yeah, really.
But let's talk about the part where, and they are accurate when you look at you and you look at Nick Schroer and you look at some of the others, Ben Brown and some of the others. It is absolutely feasible, and I am holding out hope that you all can force the state Senate to be more conservative, because the holdup, the backlog, when it comes to actual conservative policy has been in the state Senate, not even so much in the House. Mm-hmm. It's been in the state Senate. So I think we should try to make their fears come true.
Well, so Nick and I were accused by the speaker of being our own caucus. We sit next to each other on the floor, and he was always worried about what were we planning, what were we doing, what were we trying to do to move forward the agenda that, like I said, most voters really hold in the House. And I was talking to Travis Fitzwater and Curtis Trent, and we can't remember a time in the state's history that a group of friends who have the same ideological views are moving into the upper chamber together. So there's 5 of us who've served together in the House that are moving over into the Senate. Ben Brown from Franklin County, he and I are friends. We know each other. But the 5 of us from the House that are moving over together, we've been working together for many years, and we like each other. And I don't know that that's happened in at least modern history. Nobody really can talk about when that has happened. And so we like each other, and we want to have solutions, and we want to move forward the conservative agenda, and we don't want to negotiate with the Democrats. And I think what you're going to see is this new group of senators really working together to make sure we deliver for Missourians the stuff that they expect: protecting women's sports, expanding gaming access. Right? You've got people going across the river to do stuff that isn't legal in Missouri. Anyways, I'm excited. I think it's going to be great, and I really appreciated the laugh yesterday morning as I was driving and hearing how scary Nick and I were.
Well, Mary Elizabeth, you mentioned that you have a really cohesive group of senators with you. What are you battling any other Republicans, though, that aren't so conservative, as well as Democrats?
So I've been working hard to get across to and visit with the senators across the state. And I will say what is uniform, no matter who it is that you talk to, is they're tired of the fighting within the Republican Party. What they want to see is a functioning Senate that is working together and that is not, negotiating with the Democrats. That's negotiating with each other to find what's the right way. There's different conservative ideologies, right? So, like, for example, the fight over the special session about tax cuts. Some people wanted to give back more money to Missourians because we have record budgets. And I think that's great. That makes a heck of a lot of sense. And there were other conservatives who were arguing, you know what, Biden administration just tied this woke gender ideology to schools that are receiving subsidized milk programs. And if Missouri wants to get these awful federal programs off our back, we're going to have to do what South Dakota has done with Governor Noem and say we're going to be fiscally independent. We're not going to rely on the federal government to fund these programs. And so they were worried about cutting taxes too much. That's a conservative position, and one that we can fight and negotiate between ourselves, right? Like, we don't have to involve the Democrats. We have supermajorities. They don't know how to govern. So let's govern. Let's work together to move this forward. Yeah. So I have not seen that yet. But I also, we haven't sworn in yet. There's things that are going to happen.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot. And one of the things that, two things, I know we just got a minute or so left here, because I want to get to the framing that the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, I think, is showing us how they're going to address the upcoming legislative session. But when you go to the tax cuts, and I was pretty vocal about the disappointment I have in that, there are still too many Republicans who have a government-first mindset when they say this is the biggest tax cut in history, $700 million, but none of us are going to actually notice it. There wasn't a deduction. The governor wanted the standard deduction to be doubled. We would notice that, but a few dollars here and there, they're still arguing, well, we gave you some, so we get to claim a tax cut. But the reality was they're more worried about the government keeping its coffers full than people actually feeling and experiencing a tax cut with the kind of inflation we're dealing with right now.
Well, and we saw, we just got the revenue numbers this week, I think yesterday or the day before. Yeah, yesterday. Today's only Tuesday. And saw that our numbers in September have held. There was worry, we're starting a recession. We're in a recession, and that means that we're going to have the economy can start to falter. And so we don't know how long we're going to have these record high revenues. Like, when are they going to stop? But it looks like it's not stopping anytime soon, which means let's get more money back into people's pockets. And so I think you're going to see another round of tax cuts this session, because there were other ideas about ways people want to put more money back into people's pockets, whether it's getting rid of the grocery sales tax. I have filed that, or whether it's, doubling the standard deduction, whether it's accelerating the income tax, whether it's forcing the city of St. Louis to get rid of their earned income tax, or their extra 1% tax. Yeah. Like, these are things that the legislature can and should do, and I expect we will be looking at.
Okay, I've got one more question for you here in a second, but I just want to point out that to a lot of people, government having less money and spending less money, that's a concept that's very scary. Okay, real quick, Mary Elizabeth.
I know Missourians don't know how to spend their own money better than the government. Yeah, really. People.
So real quick, they use the term hard right like 4 times in that article, and I'm guessing that's a preview of how they want to create the narrative, whether it's you or Curtis or Nick or whoever. Hard right. I mean, those are the terms we use to describe Eastern European politics. Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I mean, you saw the editorial they ran against me this weekend already. Yeah. So they've compared protecting the unborn to the Iranians. So this totalitarian regime, this is the way that they are trying to frame it. And I just don't think people are going to believe it. I don't think that standing up for individual freedoms, for getting the government out of your wallet, for letting you be able to send your kids to school and to grow your business, those are not positions that are going to make people be concerned. I think they're going to say, yeah, that's what we all think. Let's get people out of, let's get out of the way.
All right. State Representative, hopefully soon to be State Senator Mary Elizabeth Coleman. Thank you for being back on the program and obviously scaring the crap out of all of us.
Thanks, Mary.
Well, thanks for having me on. Bye, guys.
There you go. 314-912.
She wasn't so scary.
I'm terrified.
Are you?
I'm just saying. I'm told I'm supposed to be terrified, so therefore I'm terrified. There it is.
Scary Mary.
Scary Mary Elizabeth. Now, if that catches on, she's going to like punch me the next time she sees me. Yeah. All right, 314-912-1019. It really is absurd. And we're only laughing at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch because they are so laughable.
And they are absurd.
This is 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. News, analysis, opinion. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We'll start with a little good news. 44 westbound at Sappington, they cleared a jackknife tractor trailer that had been out there for a while. Now, that was backed up to Elm, but that should thin out pretty quickly. It cleared about 7 or 8 minutes ago. 270 north, thought some pockets running up through Gravois. Mainly that Doherty Ferry to Manchester run was still slow. 64 eastbound, still pretty busy. Clayton Warson into Big Bend. On the westbound side, it was still backed up before you get to Hampton, most of the way to Big Bend, but it is starting to ease a little bit there. 70 eastbound looks better. It is crowded at Bryan Road where we had an earlier crash. Poplar Street Bridge traffic still heavy around the bend, but it is thinning out. This report sponsored by Blindster. Want to save big on new blinds? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you at prices less than the big box retailers. Shop Blindster now and save 45% off any order just by using the code RADIO. Shop today. Blindster.com. I'm Joe Sonderman with the latest from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Columbo and Katie.
Vice President Harris was recently in Texas, but didn't go down to the border. I thought she was the border czar. We'll talk to White House correspondent Christian Daytalk about that and more Tuesday at 2:25.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Summer means you're constantly on the go, so let Steph's Pizza make mealtime simple and good. Dine in, pick up, delivery, even DoorDash. Steph's Pizza is known for great pizza, but they also have pasta and more. With 4 locations in St. Peter's on Jungerman, on Elm at 370 in Zumbell, on Winghaven Boulevard right next to MasterCard, and in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road. Check them out at Steph'sPizza.com and simplify your summer meals.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with 1 unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby. Only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Stay top of mind with your customers, stand out from the competition, and drive productivity with a podcast for your business from Epic STL Podcasts. Log on to newstalkstl.com and click on the Epic STL Podcast button to learn more.
This is Franklin Graham. The whole purpose of Operation Heal Our Patriots is investing in the lives of men and women that have received injuries on the battlefield, to invest in their marriages.
Every day we have 2 hours of classes led by retired military chaplains. And in between, they get to enjoy all the scenic parts of Alaska.
It's something my heart needed to build our marriage.
Operation Heal Our Patriots, they want to see your marriage succeed, and they really do care.
God has opened up my eyes of how much He truly does care about me, because I could have been gone. My injuries could have been worse, but every day I thank Him just for a second chance to become closer to Him.
We want to strengthen their marriage, and we want to strengthen their faith.
We have seen marriages restored, couples that came up here that were going to have a divorce, and by the time they left, they were recommitted to that marriage.
For more information, go to SamaritansPurse.org. That's SamaritansPurse.org.
News, analysis, opinion.
They're still anti-science and anti-governance.
Democrats offer a vision for a better America.
He's losing support and enthusiasm among the base.
1019 and 94.1.
You're going to enter a problem.
News Talk STL. Like us on Facebook. at NewstalkSTL. News, analysis, opinion. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
I'm not a real big holiday season guy.
No.
It's just not my thing. I mean, I enjoy them. I think it's because we get overwhelmed with it commercially. I mean, I'm at the store with my wife a couple days ago, and I see Christmas stuff up everywhere. I actually had to chastise her in the store. She started to look at some Christmas ornaments that were on. She's like, "These are really." I'm like, "Nope, too early." She's like, "No, but they're just." I'm like, "No,
too early for what now?
Too early to even think about them. It's not even Halloween, much less Thanksgiving before we get to Christmas."
Oh,
I'm like, "No, we have to have some principles here." But she loves to decorate for Christmas. I mean, and she goes all out for it. But I have fun with Halloween, and I say that, which for most people would be, well, yeah, of course. I grew up in circles where there was a real debate, like in the church, whether or not we should acknowledge Halloween. I mean, that was actually a debate.
Okay.
And with my dad being the pastor, and there were people who were kind of, miffed that he would let my brother and I go trick-or-treating. Now, we didn't put up hang up things of witches and whatever else. We didn't do that sort of stuff. But just the fact that we would watch a Halloween movie or The Great Pumpkin from Charlie Brown. There were people who were so legalistic that I knew in the religious circles that they actually argued that we should not do that, which to me just seemed always silly because I liked putting on the monster stuff.
Growing up, my mom, well, we had a lot of kids in our house, but my dad's day was Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
He put the speakers on the roof. He had, and I'm talking scary sounds throughout the whole neighborhood, and we completely decorated the front. My mom's was Christmas. My mom actually passed away Christmas Eve.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she
I didn't
did.
know that.
But that was her day. I mean, she decorated, and she would plan 2 months in advance just the cookies that you would have to put into the freezer for everybody.
Yep.
And she'd bake these things 10 different kinds. I mean, she loved that time of year.
And Vic, are you a big Halloween
Yes.
guy? You are? Okay, yeah, because I probably enjoy that as much as any of the others. Christmas irritates me because, of my personal faith, religious. I think we have watered down and cheapened Christmas from what it should be. So I kind of have an aversion to a lot of Christmas stuff because it's not what it should be.
Halloween in my house, the house that's full of kids who act and you know what I mean, or
God,
into theater, it's a completely different thing.
Sure.
So my favorite Halloween story is my son, in 3rd or 4th grade, he insisted he wanted to go out as Groucho Marx.
Nice.
Now, how good my heart felt. That
Oh,
he
I
wanted to
bet.
be Groucho Marx. Yeah. So my wife is the queen of costumes. She'll make you look like anybody you want. So he went out there. He looked like a tiny little Groucho with the big eyebrows and everything. And we even got him a little thing of tails and glasses and a fake cigar. So we're going to the first house. And I said, "You got jokes ready?" "Oh my God, I forgot all about it. You got jokes ready to go?" He goes, yeah, I'm good. I've got jokes. So we go up to the first house, ring the bell, ding dong. And she comes out and trick or treat, tell me a joke. Chris says in his best little Groucho Marx voice, "I never forget a face, but in your case, I'll make an exception." The lady's face turned white, I swear to God. And she held the Snickers bar. I grabbed it, put it back. I said, "You got any other jokes?" He said, "Yeah, don't use that one. Use a different one." So for the rest of the night, he used, "I once shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got in my pajamas, I'll never know."
There you go.
I died. I swear.
That was good.
I said, "You got a joke?" He said, "Yeah." What offensive Groucho Marx joke could there be? Except that one.
Of course, he's in 3rd or 4th grade. I mean, you don't have time to explain there. Listen, someday you're going to want to date a girl, and you need to tweak your approach here.
Right. And if you want to break up with her, that's the perfect
That's
one.
the way to do it.
Yeah, really.
It's highly, highly efficient in order to do that.
Yeah, Halloween's fun in my house.
Oh my goodness, my wife's gotten with our next door neighbor who are good friends of ours who bought the house next door, and they're planning a big their backyard, our backyard,
nice.
Halloween bash. And I was informed of this. I was just told this is going to happen.
What's going to happen?
This big Halloween bash in our backyard.
Yeah.
And so that's happening, and normally I try to shrink away from it all, but I don't think I'm getting away with that this year. I mean, before Rachel and I, got together, we're dating, my daughter and I were the only ones in the house, and our tradition was turn off the front porch light, lock up the house, go to Ruby Tuesday, if you remember Ruby Tuesday.
Yeah.
I think there's one in St. Peter still. And we'd have a long dinner, then we'd go out to a movie, and that was our Halloween, so we didn't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm so festive.
Yeah, we like Halloween.
I do too. All right, you got about 30 seconds left, Vic. What's up?
John O'Connor.
Wait a minute. What?
What?
Which one?
John D. O'Connor.
The one who was Deep Throat's lawyer.
Oh, that John O'Connor.
That John. Which one did you think I was talking about?
I thought there was like the different John O'Connor that you spar with sometimes. Yeah.
And Nick Schroer coming up at 10:05.
He's scary.
And Randy Tobler.
Dun, 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 and Dr. Randy Tobler.
Yeah, but Nick is scary. The St.
Scary
Louis Post,
looking, that's for sure.
St. Louis Post Dispatch said so.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. That's 800-979-3060.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Couple dozen youngsters and a few adults rushed to the hospital following a carbon monoxide leak at a daycare center in Allentown, Pennsylvania. A 911 call for an unconscious child bringing a huge emergency response. Firefighters and EMTs responding. Their monitors warned of high levels of CO in the air. No word yet on the source of that leak. If Republicans retake control of Congress as a result of the midterm elections, it may not go well for some high-ranking members of the Biden